The scene opens in a magnificent mansion with the scream of a maid. The brown-haired maid, filled with anger and resentment, exclaims, "Wait, miss. Please wait a moment, miss. Where are you going in such an undignified nightgown? Is it really because of the bug in breakfast? I've already said it was my fault, yet you're acting like this over a small mistake. Seriously, doing this not only embarrasses yourself, miss, but also tarnishes the reputation of the entire family. You don't understand, Miss Giselle Flores, but I truly can't take it anymore." The green-haired maid, seeing this, asks, "What's wrong with her now?" The brown-haired maid looks at Giselle Flores. With a look full of contempt, she replies, "Who knows?" And then she rushes out of the room, not listening to anyone. I heard every single word of those maids' gossip. They dare to talk about me like that, as a miss who is served by maids. The disdain and torment from those servants. I could overlook it, but what I can't stand even more is right at the moment the door is opened. A downpour suddenly pours down on me. All disasters seem to converge on me in this situation. Giselle Flores, cold-faced, then slowly turns her expression into a loud scream in this clear weather. Why is it only here that it rains? Why? Why must I endure these things alone? What the hell is this world? I can't watch this any longer. I am Giselle Flores. I have been reborn as the main character in a regretful novel. If I die, will you all regret it? In my past life, after my shifts, I often read this novel to soothe my heart, tired from encountering terrible customers. But the more I read, the more frustrated I become due to the unreasonable plot. A typical example of a regretful novel. Even as the only daughter of a great sorceress, the main character loses her magic and lives a life full of suffering. Giselle Flores, after her biological mother passed away for unknown reasons, she was entrusted to the Flores Count family, a close friend of her biological father's, Sahara. The Count only cared for her for a short time and then set out to find the relics of Sahara, after which his sister and Giselle Flores' step-aunt, Mariposa Flores, took over the management of the mansion, and from then on, Giselle Flores' life began to spiral downhill. Mariposa Flores constantly tormented Giselle Flores. After her brother left, then came Barto, who exploited Giselle Flores for his own career, and Lasanian, who approached her pretending to be in love to drain her magic. Those two male leads are like garbage, stealing Giselle Flores' potential. But that's not all. In high society, people even misunderstand that Giselle Flores was teasing those two, giving her the shameful nickname of the Woman of 1,000 Men. Falsely accused, abused, and given a shameful nickname, I have endured it all, from eating breakfast to drinking beer and getting tipsy, she angrily thought. With that pile of garbage calling themselves male leads, what good is regretting? It's all useless. I was already frustrated, and couldn't stand it anymore after reading a shocking news. He spat out the sip of beer he had just taken, thinking to himself, what? Giselle Flores is really dead? I thought it was just the title, but it has such an ending too. Maybe it's because she was too drunk or stressed from all those annoying customers. I deeply empathized with Giselle Flores' unfortunate life, so I started leaving comments asking the author, "Hey, what's going on? What's happening?" Poor Giselle Flores. The male lead is trash and there are no maids supporting her. Clearly, she's noble yet disrespected and oppressed by a bunch of servants, and then she dies? How could she handle that? The author of that novel responded to her. That's just the main character's butt comment referring to Giselle Flores. He gritted his teeth, thinking, what the hell? Do you even know what butt means? Her fingers swiftly typed on the phone keyboard in response. What? The main character's butt is meant to refer to positive traits, yet in Giselle Flores' story, she only endures hardships. The author replied that this is a regretful novel, and don't worry too much. If Giselle Flores acts differently, the main character's butt will disappear too. But in his mind, he was filled with question marks. Yet the upbringing since childhood prevented him from cursing. He politely asked, but Giselle Flores is dead, so does that mean it ends here? The author on the other end lost patience and said, if you don't like it, just stop reading. In her mind, she silently cursed that jerk. How can I stop reading now that the story has ended? After a never-ending argument with the author, I exclaimed. Alban King silently set the phone down on the table, lying on the couch, murmuring, I don't feel sorry for Giselle Flores at all, and then drifted off. A light suddenly flashed in her mind, and Giselle Flores' body felt like it woke up from a long dream. She opened her eyes wide, staring at the familiar yet strange ceiling, thinking, it's real. When I awoke, I remembered all my past life memories. It's no wonder I recognized this familiar wardrobe and this musty bedding. It felt so familiar. Giselle Flores thought in astonishment. No way, not only was I reincarnated into a regretful novel, but I am also the pitiful main character I once felt heartbroken over. Giselle Flores? She raised her hand to support her forehead, panicking, thinking that this means in front of me lies a tragic path just like the original. Returning to reality, Giselle Flores had only taken a few steps when a stone suddenly appeared from nowhere. She wanted to be sponsored for the story, but accidentally stepped on the stone and fell flat on her face. Sitting in the rain, feeling sorry for herself, she burst into tears from the pain. It has been 2 weeks since I recalled my past life, sitting here hugging my injured leg and crying. Thankfully, it's not bleeding. I have experienced the exact same misfortunes as in the original story. The torrential rain continues to pour down on me. Even now, it's the phase where the male lead and his family are accumulating karma to regret later. I've gone through the same misfortunes as in the original story. That downpour still falls on my head. Even now, it's the phase where the male lead and his family are accumulating regrets for later. It's as if the whole universe wants me to be unhappy, looked down upon, oppressed, bullied. How can I endure this forever? Do I really have to live like the female lead in this regrettable novel? Wait, if it continues like this, I'll die like Giselle Flores in the story. Then my future will be like. She remembers the principles of Giselle Flores in the story bit by bit, dying without any logic at all. So will I also die in South Korea? I am already too tired of rude customers. Is this life only going to bring misfortune and then death again? From afar, the mocking glances of the maids clearly echo. I'm so weak, I could easily fall. Falling like that is also a kind of talent, isn't it? Oh, distinguished gentlemen, please catch me. The person next to me bursts out laughing. It seems that's the secret that makes Giselle Flores loved by everyone. Giselle Flores listened without missing a word, coldly speaking. How can you laugh when someone else is hurt? Those two maids exclaimed in shock. Huh. One of them tightly held a handful of dirt in her hand. Why are you all like this, with both the weather and the stone? Why does everyone oppose me? What did I do wrong? Panic appeared in the eyes of those maids. They cried out. 7. Currently, Giselle Flores has risen up against injustice. Forget the principles or whatever. I've already died once. What's there to fear about dying again? I won't play the tragic heroine anymore. Just as she was about to throw another handful of sand, suddenly a light flashed. Giselle Flores stood dazed in the bright sky. Wait, the rain has stopped. She was extremely astonished at the scene that just happened. Suddenly, Giselle Flores remembered a piece of information that the author once revealed. Why is that? Besides, don't worry too much. If Giselle Flores acts differently, the original heroine will also disappear, and she will take on the role. Could it be that because I acted differently from the original Giselle Flores, the original heroine that the author mentioned has disappeared? If that's true, then if I act differently from the original Giselle Flores in my mind, a beautiful ideal appears for my survival. She raises the flag of freedom high. I can change the ending. Giselle Flores laughs sinisterly. Good, I've never seen a heroine like this before. If I'm going to get hurt like this, then I will completely act contrary to the heroine. Regretful and pitiful, she quietly noted a grudge not only against those two scummy male leads, but also against everyone who has ever bullied Giselle Flores. From Milpian, she exclaimed in astonishment. May I ask, Miss Giselle Flores? Mariposa Flores gasped in surprise, shouting loudly. What are you doing? Giselle Flores, you're crazy. She proudly tossed her hair back and replied. Yes, from now on, I will be crazy. At the same time, Giselle Flores's brain quietly thought. I will take revenge on everyone, leaving no one out. SEO glared at the two people in front of her. People say that the thick orange has sharp nails, right? I will let those crazies know that there are even scarier beings above them. What? SEO tightened her fists, silently making a resolution. From now on, everything I have endured, I will return it exactly as at Island. Just wait, you scoundrels. Mariposa Flores stepped closer to her, loudly saying, Giselle Flores, what the hell are you doing? What kind of rudeness is this? Just smiling lightly, you really showed up at the right time. She recalled the things that happened before. The one who always tormented Giselle Flores, turning her life into hell, and lay the groundwork for a novel full of regret aimed at Mariposa Flores. Giselle Flores wrote heartfelt letters to befriend Mariposa Flores because she thought the woman was abandoned by her husband after the divorce. Just like herself, an orphan, she sincerely wished to bond, but the woman outright threw her letter into the fire. Never bring me such garbage again. Worthless. It has no value at all. Mariposa Flores burned Giselle Flores's letter like it was trash, and Giselle Flores, who had painstakingly written the letter, to the point that her tiny fingers were blistered, could only watch it turn into a pile of ashes. Since then, she could not give anyone a gift containing genuine feelings. The torment from her became even more ruthless. After Count Floret went missing, she sat in a chair, being served by maids, speaking out no matter how talented her father was. Now she was just a useless person who could do nothing, right? But if she was adopted into the house of Count Florence, she at least had to contribute a little, like cleaning up like the maids, for example. The insults and contempt were unceasing. No one regarded Giselle Flores as a human. And as those days dragged on, her inner self began to rot. The only thing that brought her some comfort was discovering she had magical talent, which she once thought she didn't inherit from her father. Although most of her magic power was depleted, but she discovered her magical heart had a considerable capacity. Of course, she had to be wary of Mariposa Flores's gaze. She couldn't tell anyone, but now it was fine. The woman rolled her eyes and shouted once again. That useless girl is deaf. Can't hear what I'm saying? If she had spoken up then, she would have found a way to exploit her powers. Don't just stand there and act tough. Hurry up and get ready. I've reminded you so many times. Today is the engagement ceremony with the Marquis Meupian. Upon hearing that name, she thought to herself, Marquis Meupian. Huh. Today is that day. The day Giselle Flores's life began to plummet when the rumors circulated that she was flirting with Barto and Lysanian. Mariposa Flores wanted to force her to marry a man 30 years older, saying it was for the family's benefit. Yes, she obediently replied. Yes, I'll prepare right away, ma'am. Even so, she still tried to belittle her with a remark. Truly an ungrateful person. When looking for an engagement partner, one should be grateful. Prepare it within an hour for me. Giselle Flores smiled smugly. Mariposa Flores. Flores, unfortunately, things will no longer unfold according to your wishes. The life of the unfortunate heroine in a novel full of regret, I refuse to comply. That night at the Flores Hall, other nobles stared at her, gossiping about her. Oh my! Look over there. Isn't it because the young lady is getting engaged today? Didn't you hear she's shameless? But dressing like that is... Mariposa Flores was astonished, pointing her finger at her. Giselle Flores, what's with that outfit? Stop right there. I apologize, ma'am. I was busy cleaning the hallway, that's why I'm late. She looked furious. That crazy girl dared to wear a maid outfit here? This is not the time to deal with it before the engagement is ruined. Fake Mariposa Flores, complimenting. Oh my, always paying attention to the maids. Today, she's also stepping in to help clean up. Huh, Giselle Flores? Giselle Flores, come here a moment. Where is the dress I bought for you? Giselle Flores thought to herself. Speaking as if she had bought a proper dress for herself, the whispers of gossip rose from all around, inviting the young ladies and gentlemen to the party. Yet she dresses like a maid, truly shameless, just like her reputation as everyone's lover. She coldly glanced at the most talkative ones, saying that they were just wasting their breath, pretending to be kind. How she dresses isn't too important, but nothing is pleasing to the eye. Remember not to let anything go wrong in front of the Earl. Meupian, people are kind enough to marry a troublesome girl like you. The voice of the maid outside echoed back. The Earl Meupian has arrived. He stepped in and said some cheesy lines about my little songbird. Finally, our love blooms and bears fruit, and this dress of yours today is truly unique. You want to attract my attention. Giselle Flores disdainfully showed her feelings, trying to suppress her thoughts inside, having nothing left to say. I didn't feel it while reading the story, but to think of marrying me to someone like this, how old are they? Their style is so flashy, exactly the type that screams cheap. He still uses those old-fashioned compliments to talk to Giselle Flores. Do you know how long I've been looking forward to this day? On the other side, the nobles gossip, looking at Lady Giselle Flores's expression. Why does her face look as dark as the depths of the sea? The Earl Meupian, overly confident, stroked his hair for the engagement today. I even took special care of my hair to make it shiny and glamorous. How do you see it? Mariposa Flores turned to her, complimenting him. Oh really, you've taken great care, Giselle Flores. Now let's proceed with the engagement ceremony, shall we? Giselle Flores firmly refused. She was shocked, wide-eyed, looking at her. What did you say? Repeat that. I said no, Mariposa Flores. Can't you believe it? Giselle Flores, what did you just say? What? Giselle Flores stood with her arms crossed, mockingly glancing at her. I said no. Are you deaf? Mariposa Flores was in shock, thinking, what is this girl saying? She was left speechless, stammering, you. Mariposa Flores looked at Giselle Flores's confident demeanor. The imposing look of Giselle Flores made her think, could she have lost her mind? Why am I no longer the main character? Regrettably pitiful, no longer in principle, she recalled her past life memories, thinking about the experience of working for 3,650 days, from the barbecue shop, children's cafe, administrative center, to the cafe. There's nothing I haven't done. I'm someone who has lived 2 lives, and in this life, I've met all kinds of trash customers. Albert King rubbed the shiny head of his colleague, saying, is the storyteller an octopus? Now Giselle Flores proudly recalled her life before. I was a realistic writer about all kinds of trash customers. Compared to the villains in novels, the real-life clients I meet are 100 times more terrifying. Well, it's time to show my skills, right? The end of the flashback is also when Mariposa Flores angrily screams, what deaf ears? This place is where she can speak recklessly. With trash clients like the inhuman Mariposa Flores becoming more furious the more she's ignored. If I have to apply another method, she covers her nose with her hand. Sorry, but could you stop yelling? Not because of the noise, but because your breath is so pungent it gives me a headache. She turned red with anger. Giselle Flores calmly thinks that in a situation like this, it should make the opponent even more furious. Mariposa Flores angrily shouts. What are you saying? How do you talk like that? She responds. Sorry if I'm wrong. It's just that the smell is so strong. It's hard for me to stand close. She grimaced and yelled even louder. Who smells? The rude, ill-mannered one is no one else but you. Giselle Flores speaks calmly, her voice just audible. Oh, really? If I were dirtier than you, then I surely wouldn't belong here, right? A dirty person like me dressing like this is quite fitting, isn't it, lady? Mariposa Flores got angrier, while the noble Mupian stepped in to stop her. Wait, Miss Giselle Flores. Mariposa Flores gasps in surprise and yells, What are you doing? Are you crazy? What's with that ragged outfit? Giselle Flores confidently tosses her platinum hair. Yes, from now on, I will be crazy. So I used some scraps to make this dress. How do you think it looks? Along with her words, she has another thought. Because she can't control this anger anymore. Here, the video laughs and says, This outfit suits me, right? She thinks, thankfully, she prepared ahead and brought it to the previous party. Mariposa Flores gritted her teeth in frustration. She yelled, This Tema can't stand your stinky mouth. Another second for me to show you what silence is forever. Giselle Flores's gaze gradually became sharp. Yes, it's time. This world always gives me unreasonable rules unfairly, so Mariposa Flores won't keep her dignity anymore, will she? A little anger makes me crazy, just like now. Giselle Flores swiftly dodged, but behind her, the noble Mupian had caught the full glass of wine that she just threw. Mariposa Flores couldn't believe it, trembling and speechless. While she stood aside smirking at the play just now, because of that glass of wine, his wig had been knocked off his head. Mariposa Flores was startled, and the noble Mupian changed the scene to a horse-drawn carriage stopping outside the mansion. From the carriage, a voice called out, The Duke has arrived. The man on the carriage stepped down and spoke. It seems a bit noisy. Something must have happened. Why is the inside of the mansion oddly quiet? Mariposa Flores was startled, covering her mouth. The noble Mupian reached out and touched that shiny bald head. What are you doing? Giselle Flores stood to the side, just in time to add fuel to the fire. Oh dear, noble Mupian, are you okay? Mariposa Flores, you really are what can't be said in words? The noble Milkian shouted angrily. How can this look fine when I've never been treated like this, even though I've heard bad rumors about her? I still thought she knew better. What the hell is this? I'm calling off this engagement. Giselle Flores happily agreed. Yes, Giselle Flores agrees too. He angrily walked out of the banquet hall. Please don't ever contact me again. Mariposa Flores panicked, trying to hold on. What the hell are you doing? Don't you know your place? It's because of you that the engagement with the Myopian family got cancelled, right? I heard her talking about it. Countless question marks appeared in her mind. She had arranged everything herself and was still shameless, as if it was her fault. Indeed, those were ridiculous lines with no logic at all. Mariposa Flores kept rambling on. Is your ear not satisfied with the Milpian family? Fine, this time I'll marry you off to someone even better. Wait a minute. Ignoring her words, Giselle Flores replied. Is that so? But, madam, can you really say that even when Count Flores returns after the divorce and goes back to his mother's house, she was given only one condition by her brother, Count Flores, to raise her? I'm like a biological daughter, yet her attitude is still like this? I don't think this is how you treat a daughter. She snapped, yelling and interrupting her. Shut up, Count Flores is dead. Giselle Flores thought. Huh? The last message was when he reported discovering the Spice Island, then lost contact. So everyone thinks he must be dead. But Giselle Flores stepped forward. Who knows for sure? Behind her were noble guests whispering. Oh my, this really is peak family drama. I zoomed in on her. What if the Count, who went missing, returns and punishes the younger sister for not taking care of her best friend's child? There's no law prohibiting him from returning before I get married, right? Isn't that right, Madame Marie Post? She turned around and walked away. Mariposa Flores stood there, furious. You better come back here right now, Giselle Flores. About 5 minutes later, just before the incident occurred, a bloodied attendant spoke up. What's all the noise about? Some noblewomen secretly glanced over. Is that Colinos? I can't believe he came to a party like this. The sleeves had bloodstains from the Colinos family, one of the 3 Grand Dukes holding the empire. Famous for magic, they are also known for their ability to craft magical swords and potions. But their reputation in the north, bordering the monster territory, is even more pronounced due to their brutality. Especially the current Duke, Vincent Colinos, who exterminates monsters without hesitation, always covered in blood after each battle. He is likened to an embodiment of a demon. Indeed, as rumored, among people, they call him the blood-soaked knight, Duke Vincent Colinos. But in reality, one of the nobles was horrified by his gaze at that moment. Was he going to kill me? His cold, sharp gaze radiated a killing intent. If I had known, I wouldn't have come. Just as he finished speaking, he thought, anyway, I'm just not interested in parties like this. It's much more interesting than the unfinished business I have. Conducting experiments on the error rates of monster transformations when defeated with a quiet Peterson handing over the handkerchief. Dear Duke, the model of the beast is causing misunderstandings. Please wipe it away quickly. In fact, he resembles a bookworm obsessed with research. The crowd stands back in fear. He only thinks about eliminating people. He sighed, clearly not capable of taking lives. But there's still so much left to do. I have to show up at social gatherings like this. The whole family goes to the elders' council. They all just prefer to waste time on useless things, not to mention Peterson speaking up. You know that already. This time, I must find a reliable partner, quietly thinking about marriage. I can't even communicate with the ladies, let alone talk about marriage. Oh, right, in this case. I have to smile gently, right? His voice is sharp as he opens the door. The doorman can only cry, yes, I'll open it right away. Please forgive me for now, while he still doesn't know anything and thinks according to sociological theory. Using a smile to communicate helps make things easier. That's truly a truth. But marriage. If after marriage one doesn't fulfill their marital duties, the likelihood of divorce is just as high. That's so ineffective. Wouldn't it be better to have a short-term marriage contract and then divorce during that time? If choosing someone that the whole family despises for marriage, then this idea isn't bad. The only problem island. Does such a perfect lady exist? The platinum hair appears before him. Giselle Flores and the reliable partner meet right outside the door. The scream of Mariposa Flores rings out. Giselle Flores doesn't even look back. He's surprised, thinking, what is that? What is she wearing? Did she really wear that to a social gathering? Not to mention, she seems to have just caused a ruckus here. Could she be the one I need? But Peterson notices her. The ragged clothes look like a maid's outfit. What is she wearing? The reliable partner unexpectedly speaks up. Is it true what adults say? As long as you get married, any lady will do. Yes, he replied, that's right. As long as you don't violate imperial law and you're not commoners. The reliable partner unexpectedly makes a good decision. Cancel all social engagements. Peter. He looks bewildered. Yes, the reliable partner continues. And investigate that lady in the strange outfit. We've just found a new research subject. After leaving the party, she cheerfully thinks, oh my, I feel light. Mariposa Flores still doesn't know she can use magic. Although her magic is almost depleted, she still has enough strength to use a simple wind spell to blow away whatever liquided island stretching. She feels so relieved just breaking the constraints of the original plot. Long live freedom, she exclaims, feeling that after this moment, there probably won't be any madmen proposing to her again. Her happy future starts from here, in her small room. She silently thinks, now, on to the next step. If you want to survive the upcoming events, you need to get stronger, like a great mage. Those in the top 5 powerhouses of the empire, even the emperor must show deference to the great mage. She stands in front of the mirror, deep in thought. If I become a great mage, revenge would be easier, and I could also bend the rules thoroughly. While thinking, she said, wow, these clothes are really torn. Giselle Flores looked up, contemplating. So, the immediate task is to first replenish the depleted magic power, reaching max level in magic affinity. Second, find a master to learn spells, to send everything flying, and finally gather a lot of magical artifacts. Artifacts to become stronger. Yes, now I need to go there to recover my magic power. In the town, even though it's evening, it is still bustling with people. The Dragonfire restaurant is dangerous. Giselle Flores thinks that what she needs now is to place a piece of paper on the table and say, hello, sir, you are hiring part-time staff here, right? I want to work here. She thinks that a direct approach is the best way. The consequences of war have yet to settle down, and the entire era is now frantically obsessed with money after the war ends. Wealthy merchants have quickly risen, and a new class called Genshi has begun to appear. Some of them have even purchased noble titles with money to deal with the aristocrats, who have also begun to establish trading guilds under fake names and jump into business. And this is the commercial district run by the Kalinos family, Jang Kalinos Street, Kalinos Rosemary Street. Peterson was holding a notebook and said, sir, I have received information that the lady is here. Do you want to take a look at the list of candidates for the Duchess, my lady? The expressionless attendant replied, no need, discard it all. Peterson persisted, but sir, that list was sent by Duke Ganot from the previous life. The cold voice said, now that there is an AI available, just having that lady is enough. By the way, Peterson bluntly replied, sir, my name is Peterson. The attendant indifferently responded, right, Peter, it's actually Peterson. At that moment, he was paying attention to something else. Why is that place so crowded? Peterson also replied, I'm not quite sure. The attendant closely observed and analyzed. There were no mistakes in the investigation. Something must have changed recently. He questioned. Could it be that word of mouth has made it suddenly famous? He sounded indifferent and unconvincing. A voice filled with excitement rang out, thank you all for waiting. Peterson suddenly realized, oh, that person is Giselle Flores. with a smiling face introducing, "This is freshly baked bread, hot and ready to taste." In both their minds, a name came to mind, Giselle Flores. Peterson excitedly recounted. Both of their minds recalled a name, Giselle Flores Peterson, delightfully recounting. "It's true that I've heard she is in this area, but every time I see her, I'm more surprised, even with the way she pulls in customers. Or her cooking performances are just as skilled, even at the party the other day. It's not something every countess's daughter can do." The messenger smiled a very sinister smile, truly astonishing. "We have something to prepare. Let's go back." Is he surprised? "But didn't you come here because you had something to discuss with her already?" Peterson pondered since the moment he saw Lady Flores. The Duke was acting strangely. What's going on? The only things that ever caught his attention were rare ingredients or new magical beasts for research. What's happened to him? Could it be love at first sight? Somewhere else, Giselle Flores was humming a song. "This must be the person, even more intense than organic cabbage juice, tasting like a sewer. Congratulations, dear customer. You won a lunch ticket for just 99 gold, worth the effort. I used all my tricks today, and the restaurant's revenue increased 200 times, and you even get rewarded with mana recovery potions." That's right, the reason I work extra at the Full Flame Dragon, a restaurant owned by Kalinos. The owner cried and pleaded, saying they would pay 200 times more, so please help us out. But she happily walked away, saying that was enough. Giselle Flores repeated in her mind, "Because this place contains a potion that enhances mana potential, which the Kalinos family once researched. But it failed in marketing and ended up forgotten in storage." Giselle Flores stroked the dragon while enjoying holding the potion. If a potion thrown away had such effects, how good could the ones not discarded be? The Kalinos family is known for being conservative, but making potions like this or learning magic must be as easy as drinking soup. Of course, I can't work for that family, so I have to collect potions everywhere, like at the horse-themed restaurant or tavern. Where else could I go? Suddenly, a warm voice called her name, Giselle Flores. This is the envoy with a handsome appearance appearing right before Giselle Flores. She was stunned, thinking to herself, what is this? This man looks familiar, so handsome, surely he can't be a minor character. Where have I seen him? Let me introduce myself. I am the envoy of Kalinos. People usually call me Kalinos. Giselle Flores jumped, unable to believe her eyes. She panicked and repeated, "This is the final boss of the Kalinos envoy." "What?" The envoy spoke, "Don't be too tense. I'm here to ask you for a favor." And Giselle Flores foolishly wondered to herself. Kalinos, at this moment, the one known as the blood-soaked knight. "You say you want to ask me a favor?" she asked. "What? How do you know my name, and what do you need me to do?" He knelt down immediately. "The matter is a proposal. Yes, Giselle Flores. I want you to be my official wife." In terms of formality, Giselle Flores was shocked once again. "Wife? You mean the wife I know?" The envoy obediently asked, "Do you know any other kind of wife? Why are you shocked again and again?" The messenger obediently asked her if she knew of any other types of wives. She was shocked time and again. "What is it?" Just try listening to see what he intends to say with that beautiful face. "Huh. This is an anxious video. Sorry, I don't understand what you're saying." At that moment, he remembered, "Oh, it must be because I was too hasty. Please accept this ring. It's a token of my sincerity for our first meeting." A sparkling engagement ring with a big diamond. Wow, this is offered right in front of you. Giselle Flores was mesmerized by the light radiating from it. This huge diamond is just unreasonable. It's so big that it makes one's heart flutter. She immediately slapped her face to snap back to reality. Just now, I was imagining joining the Kalinos family. But I'm the unfortunate female lead tormented by the world, after all. Nothing good can possibly come from this. Besides, this is the infamous Kalinos. This video is being filmed to reject me. Although I don't know how you know me, I do not offer services as a wife or girlfriend. The offer is quite tempting. If you agree to act as a public wife, we will pay 50 billion gold a year. What are you stunned about? 50 billion gold is enough to buy 2 townhouses in the capital. You just need to pretend to be a wife and get 50 billion a year. Giselle Flores clenched her fists and looked up, extremely angry. Do you think I'm the kind of person who can be bought off by money? Just because I'm called the lover of the world, do you think I would do anything for a ring and money? She immediately changed her expression to a welcoming one. How do you know me so well and came all the way here, dear guest? Then, please come over here. Let's discuss in more detail. Giselle Flores thought happily to herself. 50 billion is just that much money. Yet it's enough to steal a person's heart in modern capitalist society. In the Kalinos' royal capital, in the lab of the alchemist, the voice of the alchemist, filled with excitement, finally announced that they had successfully created the desired potion. It worked as expected. 399 days, 12 hours, and 30 minutes, a monumental achievement that made all the researchers cheer. Finally, you did it. Congratulations. He turned around to call out to Peter. I have something to ask, Peterson replied with a bored tone. My name is Peterson, but what is it? The alchemist wondered. 50 billion gold is a small amount. He answered that with that money, one can cover the budget of a middle-class noble family for 3 years, a very large sum. He doubted and wondered, then why did he think she would definitely agree? The night before, Google politely invited the master, no, the customer. So what exactly do I need to do? The alchemist seriously clarified what she was puzzled about. It's very simple. Marry me, then behave terribly so that everyone in my family is horrified. Every time she heard the word marriage, Giselle Flores felt a bit surprised and thought to herself, does he want me to play the role of a scandalous wife? So that's why he came to find me, even though I just broke off my engagement the day before. I used to be a part-time employee specializing in handling difficult customers. I've dealt with things like that before. I'm very familiar with this role. It's too simple. However, it's a bit awkward to talk about. Is it okay if I take 3 days to think about it? It's not a rejection, I just want to consider it a bit. The alchemist, despite being full of questions, but still gently said, Giselle Flores happily thanks you. I will contact you again in 3 days. Giselle Flores is a little worried. The conditions sound very attractive, but it's still too early to fully trust. No matter what, according to her personality, good things usually signal bad luck, but logically, it's commonly seen in romantic reincarnation novels that contract marriages are something to seize immediately. We hate each other, but let's get married. But since the other party has a higher status and is the final boss in principle, it's better to be cautious. Not to mention that an event is about to happen that will help raise my self-worth. The next day the screams will echo throughout the building. Miss, get up quickly. It's not the time to sleep anymore. Giselle Flores is sleeping soundly. What are you waking her up for? The other maid is also anxiously calling her back to the main room. Giselle Flores is still half asleep and irritable. Just yesterday, she was exiled to the servants' area because of a broken engagement, and why is she being called back now? Her question was answered right after Count Flores returned. She opened her eyes wide in disbelief. Then she felt joyful inside. Wait, did Count Florence really return? The two maids were a bit shy. This lady said not to tell, but it's coming soon. Giselle Flores can hardly wait anymore. Finally, it's here. You will help me elevate my value. The shadow of authority appears. Everyone shouted loudly that Count Flores had returned after more than 5 years. And moreover, he brought the relics of Count Sahara according to the original story. Count Flores sadly bowed his head and apologized for having been indifferent for so long. At first, he tried to treat Giselle Flores well, because she was the daughter of a close friend, but he was so busy searching for his sister Sahara's relics that he handed her over to his biological sister. That was Mariposa Flores, who took care of her and almost forgot about her. However, after Giselle Flores died, he was the only one who blamed himself and sincerely regretted it, which means at least he is someone who can improve the relationship. Giselle Flores stood in the room, lost in thought, looking down. This is an opportunity. If I can get close to him, survival later will be easier. But surely Mariposa Flores will find a way to prevent me from approaching the Count, so I have to act like I ran into him by chance. In the garden of the mansion, Giselle Flores stood in front of the fountain, contemplating. In the original story, Count Flores met Giselle Flores in front of this fountain after returning home. If I wait here before he arrives, a displeasing sound came from behind her. You are on punishment and still dare to go outside? Giselle Flores turned around angrily. Inside, she didn't want to face him but still had to meet. Why? This place still belongs to the mansion, and if I want to go out, I can. Abison Flores, the son of Mariposa Flores, has always looked down on and bullied Giselle Flores, never surpassing the first-level magic circle. But he is delusional, wanting to become a great sorcerer. Abison was not to be taken lightly, as he retorted, now you dare to contradict me, Abison Flores. He pointed his finger at Giselle Flores's head, sneering. Someone like Giselle Flores wouldn't be scary even if she argued back. She, Jun, didn't dare to speak before realizing she was in a situation where she had been beaten by Abison. At that time, I thought there was no other way. Maybe that's why, even though I knew he was nothing, I still felt tense when facing him. Abison continues to provoke the shame of the family while you're still hanging around here, making me annoyed. I just hope that Marquis Burrow and Duke Lysanian return to the capital soon to kick you out of here. Yes, Giselle Flores eagerly thought to herself. Just hearing those names makes me lose all fear. Do you dare to mention that Mosquito Duke's name in front of me? She smiled knowingly and said, yes, especially hoping that Duke Lysanian returns soon. Abasan didn't ask, annoyed. Giselle Flores has been looking forward to this day for a long time. Good, let's see how much my mana has recovered. Yes, she proactively suggested. If so, I will show everyone that I can use magic now. Abisan didn't believe much, doubting. Do you think that's great? Without mana, what can you do with magic? Giselle Flores just casually replied. I taught myself. He frowned and pointed straight at her face. Ridiculous, you can't learn magic that way. Surely, you stole some magic weapon and are just pretending. She's not in a hurry, then let's bet. If I can win without using a magic weapon, then how? Looking at Abisan as if seeing a chicken, laughing. You want to bet with me? Even so, I'm also getting bored. If I win, you have to hand over the magic weapon you're hiding, SEO proudly said. Well, she thinks whether it exists or not doesn't matter. I can't lose, right SEO? Then I added, and if I win, you are the rotten stingray. Abisan got angry. What stingray? She smiled wickedly, demanding, if I win, you have to kneel and apologize to me for everything that happened before. Now the video shows me casting my magic. Water from the fountain rose up in succession. Abisan was surprised by the scene. What the heck is this? He couldn't believe it. The water from the fountain is flying up. She proudly showcased her talent. This is real magic. Something like you can never imitate. Got it? Outside the Flores mansion, Mariposa Flores's voice suddenly echoed. Oh my, brother, you are still safe and sound. It's been 5 whole years. Count Flores approached, speaking slowly. Are you still healthy? She showed concern and said, your news has been cut off. How can I live peacefully? I'm worried that something happened to you, he softly replied. I didn't mean to make you worry. During your absence, I struggled to take care of the household. Thank you so much, Mariposa Flores. Upon hearing that, she became cheerful. Oh, you're saying that again. I'm just doing what needs to be done. But in reality, Mariposa Flores was paying attention to the object peeking out from Count Florence's pocket. Could that be the relic of Count Zahira he's brought back this time? He suddenly began to inquire. By the way, where are Giselle Flores and Abisan? I want to know how the 2 kids are doing. Mariposa Flores went right behind him. Count Flores quickly replied. Abisan is probably strolling in the garden, while Giselle Flores is likely in her room. SEO is inherently introspective, so he has difficulty communicating with others. He found that hard to understand and asked again. Introspective? Why is the little girl having trouble fitting in with others? Mariposa Flores hugged his arm tightly and started drumming. Wait a minute, my brother, is that thing hanging by your side an artifact? It looks so special. Can you show me? Recently, Abisan has been diligent in studying magic, so I'm curious. Suddenly, Countess Florence interrupted her rambling. Mariposa Flores, you have to explain that to me. Why did she hastily deny it? I just wanted to lighten the awkward atmosphere, but you scared me. Although she said that, inside, Mariposa Flores started cursing. Truly, what a blockhead. Just a relic of a friend in acting so unapproachable. If I had known, I wouldn't have come back. I might as well die there. Countess Florence suddenly stopped in her tracks. Mariposa Flores also showed surprise as she exclaimed, look over there. It's so beautiful. There's a rainbow without any rain. He involuntarily praised. Wow, what a rainbow created from pure magical power. If it reaches that level, then the wizard's magical power must be absolutely pure, without any impurities. Mariposa Flores, confused, asked, is the rainbow created from magical power? Haven't we only seen a rainbow that beautiful once before? Count Flores thought back, remembering Count Zahira's cheerful expression when she called him. Look at that, Flores said, as the corners of his mouth slightly smiled while Count Flores happily thought. It's truly a rainbow, as beautiful as that time. Mariposa Flores turned excitedly and exclaimed, oh my precious son has finally done it. Recently, he has been diligently practicing magic. He cleared his throat and replied, is that so? That's the result of some hard training. She cheerfully continued. Yes, Abisan is a talent who will inherit the Florence family. It's been a while since we met. On this occasion, why not chat a bit about magic? I'm sure Abisan would be very happy. As the 2 of them walked to the yard, they encountered a scene. Abisan was sitting flat on the ground at Giselle Flores's feet. Mariposa Flores panicked and shouted, Abisan. He remained still, looking up at Giselle Flores. She glanced confidently at Abisan and said, what should I do? I accidentally created a rainbow with magic. Is that right, Abisan? In this case, what did we say we would do? Why hesitate? Kneel down, or do you want to cry out that I'm cheating with an artifact again? Mariposa Flores anxiously interrupted. Wait, that magic was used by Giselle Flores. Abisan gritted his teeth and denied. You cheated and dared to show your face. She disdainfully replied. Are you unable to kneel down by yourself? Let me help you. Suddenly, Abisan knelt down while he was still confused. Abisan cried out in pain. Ah, my knee. Mariposa Flores rushed over and called. Abisan, what are you doing? Giselle Flores was scolded by her, and she feigned innocence. Goodness, Mariposa Flores, when did you arrive? Mariposa Flores angrily turned to Count Florence, and when I complain, you can see how dark and scary this girl is, raising her without gratitude, and acting so shamelessly. Don't just stand there, say something. He doesn't seem to care much, he replied. Let's leave the greetings for later. Giselle Flores, that rainbow was created by you. She hesitated to answer, yes, I did it. Mariposa Flores, feeling neglected, cried out, hey, is it important right now? Your nephew is injured, you should blame Giselle Flores. Countess Flores slowly said. That kind of magic to create a rainbow isn't something just anyone can do. Even if it's basic magic, you need extremely pure magical power to create such beautiful light. Abison gritted his teeth and argued. It's clearly a scam, and it's because that girl is so shameless that her fiancé ran away. Realizing he just let something slip, Mariposa Flores hurried to stop him. But unfortunately, Countess Flores had heard it. He hurriedly asked, What fiancé? What are you talking about? Have you introduced a fiancé to Giselle Flores? Without consulting him, Giselle Flores seized the opportunity and pretended to be aggrieved, interjecting, Oh, that matter is for the young lady. Mariposa Flores said she was marrying a man 30 years older than herself, and she quickly denied it. He's good, even if he's older, Giselle Flores said. I said I wanted to marry that person, she innocently replied. Countess Florence impatiently interrupted. Let's discuss this later. Mariposa Flores. Don't do such things anymore. She has to comply. But I still can't forget to make excuses. I'm sorry, but because the rumors around Giselle Flores are so bad, I just want to marry her off soon. Before AI no longer recognizes her, Lady Florence shot a warning glare at Mariposa Flores. Even so, the decision is still up to you. Hearing that, she had to reply. Yes, and he placed his hand on Giselle Flores' shoulder, seriously saying, Look how much you've grown. It's as if Sahara has come back to life. Memories flood back when that guy was still unmarried. This 360-degree change in attitude surprised Mariposa Flores. Bewildered, she exclaimed, Hey, Giselle Flores, curiously asking, Is uncle your father? He replied with a nostalgic voice, Yes, that's your father. When he was young, he and Serena broke everything in the Wizard Tower. I remember that full well. Hearing that, she silently assessed. Yes, this is indeed Count Florence. He's not normal either. In everything, principals say that Count Florence and Sarah were close friends since they were young. The two were a crazy couple in the Wizard Tower. If they were displeased, they would smash everything. He is indeed my biological father, but this person is not normal either. However, perhaps this is a good opportunity. I have to pretend to be a fool to survive. And the more I do so, the more Count Flores will see me as similar to Count Sahara. And then he will take a liking to me and become my helper. Count Flores was rummaging through his pocket as he spoke up. Now I am sure, Giselle Flores, you are the rightful owner of Sahara's relics. Yes, she looked blankly at the artifact he just handed her. Excited in her heart, she thought, Look, a good opportunity has come. Count Florence politely invited her. It's such a beautiful day. Would you like to take a walk with me, Giselle Flores? She obediently replied and happily followed. Yes, I would love to. Mariposa Flores watched the two of them leave, unable to suppress her gritted teeth, feeling a surge of jealousy. That girl should have been married off to a lowly family by now. How did she gain such power? Abisan beside her also became anxious. Mom, why are you just letting things be? What if that girl becomes close to Uncle and seeks revenge on us? She angrily scolded. Be quiet, Abisan, if that happens. Before that stupid girl Giselle Flores seeks revenge. I will deal with her first, Countess Florence said. Are you doing well these days, Giselle Flores? She smiled at him while secretly thinking, Countess Florence is even asking about me. Yes, in my past life, this principle never happened. Although she thought that, Giselle Flores still happily replied, Yes, except for the fact that Miss Mariposa Flores wants to marry me off to Count Mupian. He sighed in disgust. That filthy old man dares to covet my daughter. Leave this matter to me. Seeing Count Florence's serious expression made her unable to hide her joy. Leave this matter to me. He trusts me like this. He wants to reveal everything to Ha, but it's not the right time yet. Now, most people in this mansion still stand by Mariposa Flores. Count Flores suddenly reminded her. Oh dear, please take good care of that relic of Sahara. It's a very useful artifact that can change its appearance. Giselle Flores curiously asked. Change appearance. He explained calmly that it must be in the entire empire. It's also rare to find an item as perfect as this, not to mention Sahara. It often hides additional functions within the artifact, so it would be good to check it out. She looked at the item in her hand and couldn't help but marvel. Oh, it has hidden functions? Besides disguise, what else could there be? I'm so curious, but the problem island. When I received it, I felt that the mana consumption was too high. Such a rare artifact shouldn't go unused. It would be a pity if it weren't, but at some point, it would surely be useful. Looking at her expression, the Countess Florence couldn't help but laugh. There's no need to rush, looking at you now, even if you're not much. If you practice, your mana will increase quickly. You could go to the academy to learn from the masters, or if you have an artifact to assist, that's even better. Giselle Flores felt disheartened hearing this. Who doesn't know that? But I don't have any money or connections. He didn't notice her expression and continued. So, what if we find you a master to teach you magic? The video was so surprising that her eyes widened, and she felt nervous. What? He can't be joking, right? A magic master would cost at least 1 billion gold. This is no different than the Countess Flores being my benefactor. If I perform well here, I would surely leave a good impression. He looked at her seriously and affirmed, I think this is a good opportunity. Giselle Flores did not hesitate and immediately replied, yes, of course, I want to meet right now. After a while, she returned to the mansion. Before her stood Master Abasan named Hassan. She looked at him and casually said, his expression seemed to say, but miss, you've never been to the academy, so how would you know about magic? If you doubt that, then please check. Hassan flinched when hit at his dark heart and thought to himself, so it shows on my face? Seeing her suggestion, Hassan quickly agreed. All right, then let's try to regulate the mana breathing first. Those who are first-time users of mana or lack mana cannot perform it. Giselle Flores smiled slightly. She confidently created a small magical sphere in her palm. Giselle Flores calmly looked at Hassan and asked, is this okay? He stared blankly for a few seconds, unable to hide his surprise. She was performing the standardized breathing so skillfully. How could a young Master Abasan take years to achieve this? Stay calm, Hassan. Mariposa Flores always says she's just talking nonsense. He hurriedly said, good, now let's try to construct the initial magic circle. The amount of mana a sorcerer can accumulate is innate, but that doesn't mean practice is useless. The more magic circles around the mana team, the stronger the magic can be used. Of course, if the team has great magical power, creating circles will also be easier. Then Giselle Flores crossed her arms and seriously asked, so ultimately the size of the magical team is still the most important. Right, Hassan, while having 6 vials inside, replied. I do not deny that, so after creating the magical circle, we will check how powerful her magical team is. Coincidentally, I have an artifact to measure the magical team. Just place your hand like this. The brightness emitted will indicate the size of the magical team. But I don't expect much from Miss Giselle Flores, because I have heard from Mariposa Flores, so please don't feel pressured. Just place your hand on it. She calmly followed his instructions, placing her hand on the hazen orb, yawning long and dejectedly, thinking it would definitely only be a circle or even less. Once the check is done, I'll tell the Count that she has no talent, and that will be enough. What is this? Mariposa Flores said Giselle Flores has nothing. And the size of the magical team. This innate magical power not only far exceeds the average of 5 circles but can also reach the level of opening up to 10 circles. Hassan suddenly shouted, this is impossible. He rushed into the office and called Count Florence. He was confused and replied, what's going on? Hassan's face was filled with fear as he reported, I think Miss Giselle Flores has used some tricks. He hurriedly asked, tricks? What do you mean? He firmly stated that the magical team is too large and the application skills are too proficient. Count Flores vaguely recalled what Giselle Flores had said during their walk. Count Flores, I have always been shy and weak, but now I am not like that anymore. I will show that I have completely changed. Compared to before, he fell silent, contemplating that he had completely awakened the magical power. Thinking, Count Flores calmly said, then, isn't that a good thing? Hassan immediately dismissed it. No, it can't be that Miss Giselle Flores has such talent. He scrutinized him and then asked, what are you talking about? Hassan loudly argued against the claim that Miss Giselle Flores has no magical capacity. Magic has spread everywhere, yet now it is talent that can become a grand mage. If such talent exists, then I should be the one learning from her. She must have used forbidden magic, or some deceitful trick. Count Florence's face turned serious as he said in a low voice, forbidden magic. As a master, if a student has talent, one should think of ways to teach better. Yet to say that is dark magic. I hear as if you are slandering the Florence family. Someone like you cannot stay in my estate. Get out, you are fired. Hassan panicked and exclaimed, what? Are you serious, Count Florence? He crossed his arms in front of his chest and said sternly, as a teacher, when a student has talent, one must think of ways to educate better. Your basic thinking has been wrong from the start. Go away, don't expect to find a place that will accept you again. He still tried to argue that the Count was firing him for such a trivial matter. The Countess Florence's gaze grew cold as she responded, oh, you still haven't come to your senses, huh? In the end, Hassan was fired, and was beaten to a pulp, then crawled his way outside. The Countess Florence immediately called me into her office, and I apologize for nominating someone like that to be a magic teacher. Although I can't meet the magic master right away, as promised, despite the fact that it's different from the original principle. I thought my situation would improve a little. Daisy suddenly shouted, what is this? The tabloid magazine Daisy Flores has seized the relics of Count Sahara. The relics of Count Sahara, falling into the hands of an unqualified person, causing a huge controversy. Exclusive interview with magic teacher Hassan, who was unjustly kicked out of the family because of that stupid kid. And now I've lost my livelihood. Giselle Flores angrily scolded. I can't believe it. He made the mistake and was kicked out, yet he's answering interviews as if it's his fault. Even though the circumstances have improved a little, Giselle Flores's unreasonable character law still hasn't changed. She was exhausted, thinking that this time proved that the law of regret stories still hasn't disappeared. That means I still haven't completely escaped the ending of the original principle. Is there any keyword strong enough to change the plot direction? Oh, that must be it. There's still that person. Good. On this occasion, I will really skew the main storyline. The sound of knocking came repeatedly, and then the door slowly opened. Giselle Flores's voice rang out. Hello, Kalanos. I'm here to request a marriage proposal. She was dressed neatly, stepping inside with a plan already in mind. Nothing disrupts a script more effectively than marriage, a contract with the antagonist. The attendant politely welcomed her. Thank you for coming in person, Miss Giselle Flores. But what is the document you brought with you? She handed it to him and cheerfully replied, I've prepared an introduction about myself, so that the Duke can trust me and delegate more tasks. I think if you knew my background, it would make planning for the future easier. The attendant said nothing and immediately opened to read the report on the incidents in the Florence family. After reading for a while, he exclaimed, This is amazing. It's presented clearly. Not hesitating to expose herself from cutting and pasting news to presenting herself, blending in as if melting. Following the full, perfect structure of events, this could easily be mistaken for someone who has worked in administration. A few years later, Giselle Flores politely replied, Thank you for the compliment. But only in her heart did she truly know. This perfect document was not written by me. What was written is the hidden function that Count Florence once mentioned. It is called the magic of editing and proofreading. I discovered this function while experimenting with artifacts after hearing his words. Compared to the main function of disguise, the mana consumption is much less, so that's really lucky. However, there's one problem. Thus, her ability stood out unusually. The officer complimented. This is the first time I've seen an administrative record perfect like this. Have you ever been titled as an administrator? Giselle Flores replied. No. He asked again. So who did you learn from? She honestly replied. I have no master. Hearing that, the officer's hand involuntarily shook. No master and still have this level? How? If so, Giselle Flores, are you a goddess of language? Looking at his bewildered expression, Giselle Flores couldn't help but think to herself, what's wrong with this man? Why is he suddenly so serious? As if he were a professor about to kidnap a student into a research room. Luckily, thanks to his bad reputation, he doesn't suspect it's due to magic. She hesitated for a moment and then spoke. Your words make me feel easier to share. Can I add 2 conditions to the contract? The Duke asked immediately, what is it? What? She raised the newspaper she just read and said, the first condition is to use your power to shut down Daisy magazine. She gently tore the newspaper, but in her heart, she was secretly cursing them for speaking ill of her, leaning against the villain to deal with them first. In the middle of the video, stepping on some scraps of newspaper, she continued, if those lies continue to put public opinion against me, then it will surely change future plans. Hearing her reasoning, the officer immediately agreed. It's reasonable to eliminate obstacles early. I agree to the second condition. Now Giselle Flores raised her hand to signal a coin shape. She hesitated and asked if it could be paid in advance. Giselle Flores felt a bit shy about her own words, even if it is the Duke's request. Is this a bit too much? But after working part-time, I have no faith left in society at all. Yes, the officer agreed without hesitation. All right, it will be paid in one go. Her attitude immediately changed. Thank you, dear master. Oh no, dear boss. Then let's discuss the details of the contract. First, the contract duration is, he replied briefly, a total of 1 year. Giselle Flores asked again what the exact content of the contract is. The officer seriously replied, make my family so tired that they no longer dare to mention marriage. He dropped the pen and the contract in her hand. She quickly said, as you can see, causing trouble is my specialty, so don't worry. Just that after hearing, I want to add one more special clause. He curiously repeated the special clause. This video is for you to confidently respond yes. I would like to add a clause that you will protect my life. Because I will have to do many annoying things if I am assassinated or attacked. That would be very dangerous. The messenger instinctively smiled, and then asked how dangerous are the things you plan to do. All right, I will write that clause into the contract. Hearing this, Giselle Flores became excited and said, thank you, sir. I will bring chaos and explosions. Making you satisfied before putting the pen down, he suddenly paused. The messenger looked up at her and said, by the way, even if you become a duchess, there's nothing for you to do regarding the internal management system of the family. It has been fully established, and my late brother's child has also been designated as the heir. She gently replied, oh, that's great. Giselle Flores rested her chin on her hand and silently looked at the messenger. After a while, she spoke again. Can I ask one last question? Even if it's a personal question. He presented the contract and agreed. Go ahead. What is it? SEO took the pen to write on the contract while asking, why do you avoid marriage to this extent? Even if it's a paper marriage, it's still marriage, the messenger calmly replied. Because what's between you and me is not real, so it doesn't matter. She quickly interjected, but he knew what Giselle Flores was about to say and interrupted. Marriage is truly an absurd thing. Being forced to waste time every day sleeping with someone you don't want to and being pressured to have children like livestock. Furthermore, a marriage without love is contrary to the ethics of a researcher. Giselle Flores was also taken aback by this answer. She thought to herself, what is this scientific logic style? Why bring ethics into this? The messenger was rummaging through his pocket while saying, however, there is one remaining obstacle with this marriage. Giselle Flores curiously asked, obstacle? He presented a piece of paper to her, his face serious as he instructed. Before marrying, you must have the consent of the 5 people named on this list. This video shocked her as she received the paper from his hand. I need permission from 5 people? She focused on reading the information on the paper. If it's the Senate of Colinos, then the Senate of Colinos consists of the most respected people in the family. Colinos, 10 outstanding individuals in research at the Colinos Pharmaceutical Institute, including direct bloodlines. They are all members of the Senate. Normally, all major and minor matters of the Duke's family must be approved by the Bloodline Senate and the Emperor. But specifically for Colinos, fighting monsters on the border is a daily occurrence, and every decision is resolved quickly, just by the consensus between the Duke and the Senate. Therefore, all decisions must receive more than half of the Senate's votes. Miss Agnes opened the meeting. The topic of today's meeting is the marriage of Colinos. It had been briefly discussed before. Senate member Agnes Colinos, Hennessy spoke up. Is the person the Duke intends to marry Giselle Flores? Countess Flores's daughter isn't the head of the Colinos Senate, Hennessy. He replied, yes, that's right. Currently, 5 people have agreed. We just need 1 more for a majority. He still defends his opinion. I still oppose it. And in the Senate, they still listen. According to him, we also oppose it. Annis replied coolly, but instead of rushing to a decision, shouldn't we meet her once or something? Hennessy put the report on the table. Do we need to meet? Just looking at this report is enough clarity. A person who is indulgent is always at the center of trouble. How can a weak person like that become the future master of Colinos? Someone from Hennessy's camp brought it up, but since the Duke has chosen, maybe she is a good person. Let's think it over once more. Hennessy said it's enough already. Indeed, it isn't acceptable. He was irritated, thinking they were all just trying to curry favor with the Duke. Those senators are lacking in principles. Even if we can't get 1 more vote, this marriage won't happen. Is that really the case? Hennessy stood up and went outside. That's enough for today. One of his camp members was surprised. But it's not over yet. Hennessy coldly brushed it off. This isn't an urgent matter. The person was bewildered. Yes? What could be more important than the Duke's wedding? He walked away majestically, with a sharp gaze and a slight smile that wasn't gentle at all, deep and full of implications, as if he had seen through all the world's calculations. Sent to our distinguished anonymous guests. We would like to present the sales report for the Moral, Noble, and Evangelical book series you commissioned. The Moral, Noble, and Evangelical Ethics of Nicomachean and the Open Society and its Enemies. With royalties of 1 silver for each book, Hennessy walked down the street. Please visit the store to collect your payment as soon as possible. He was as happy as a fish in water. Finally, his book had sold. Hennessy's face lit up. There was a book on noble morality here. The shopkeeper stood pensively among piles of books. He heard and frowned. Why haven't those books been cleared away? He replied. Those books? Since they couldn't sell, we planned to discard them. Hennessy was surprised. What? The shopkeeper grumbled, carrying books. If you're looking for books, ask over there. I'm busy. It's truly a book that sold only 1 miserable copy. Who would write this? Hennessy lowered his head. His own book being criticized as miserable made him regret in his heart. If only he had published it. This book, as the head of the Colinos Senate, shouldn't be treated like this. His self-respect wouldn't allow it. But if it continues like this, suddenly Giselle Flores's voice rang out. This one is good, but that person really has no eye for it. He felt as if he had come back to life upon hearing the praise. Hennessy couldn't believe his ears. She said his book was good. Could she be the only one who had bought his book? She had planned ahead if persuasion was needed. Let's start with the most important person in the Senate. Which is this person, Hennessy Colinos. In the original work, he is someone who wants to become a best-selling self-help author. But he always hides his true identity because he wants to hear people's curiosity about the author of the book. The author of this book is AI, right? Surely, it's someone very extraordinary. He will have a chance to be really cool. However, after a series of criticisms and 0 sales, his self-esteem was shattered. His spirit was so depleted that I, Hennessy, held my own book and shouted for the whole world to hear. I am indeed the author of this book. In the end, he had to reveal his true identity thanks to his existing fame. The book became a bestseller, but the criticisms reached his ears. How could Hennessy write such a book? He was so sleepy that he dozed off. His happiness didn't last long, he thought to himself. Hennessy is an upright and capable person appointed as the dean thanks to his recruiting talent. All he needs is to persuade. If he could pull him over to his side, it would also provide long-term support after the marriage. Hennessy approached and asked if she had read the entire book. She replied yes. When those in lower classes struggle, it is the duty of nobles to willingly lend a helping hand. That is noblesse oblige. I find the content of the book truly wonderful. He was shocked. She is indeed his reader. He gently apologized. Excuse me, miss. If you don't mind, may I invite you for a cup of tea at the cafe? Giselle Flores's delicate hands gracefully raised the lace-trimmed hat, exuding elegance and sophistication. She politely introduced herself. I am Giselle Flores. You might have heard my name before. The fiancée of the Duke? So all of this, I didn't think the young lady would know my pen name. Did you come to approach me just to ask for approval for the marriage? Giselle Flores gently replied. No, I came because I am genuinely interested in your book. He questioned back. You expect me to believe that? She explained. I'm not saying you have to believe me. However, it is the truth. I had previously read a book published by you, Hennessy, and I found it very similar to this one. From the reasoning to the writing style, it's rare. I suspected you were indeed the author when I heard that you invested in this bookstore, so I came to confirm. Then you admitted it in front of Hennessy, stumbling over your words. He was angry for being caught off guard. How did he let himself be led like this? They say it's weak, but how could he be so bold? He understood that he had avoided it, but he thought there was nothing more to say. He asked for permission to leave. Giselle Flores smiled triumphantly. No, if you leave now, you will regret it. The book is wonderful, but as the #1 reader, I still feel a bit regretful. Hennessy replied. Regretful, huh? Yes, but I can help you enhance that point and make the entire empire aware of this book by improving its sales. Do you still want to leave? The sunlight streamed through the window, shining on the quiet bookshelf. Hennessy's voice rang out, full of skepticism, making the entire populace of the empire aware of the book. What are you talking about? Giselle Flores proposed instead. If everything goes smoothly, please accept the marriage and give me 10%. The profits from the book's sales. Old sow, are you accepting the marriage and 10% of the book sales? Do you think I would agree? Her expression was determined. Even if she lost, it wouldn't be a loss, right? Hennessy was secretly surprised after all. Giselle Flores didn't need to force herself because her presence was already igniting everything around. So, what will you decide, sir? Hennessy hesitated. This confidence felt like he was being swept away, even though he didn't need anyone's help to sell books. But what if the book actually sells well? He would have to accept it. Then I will trust you once. Giselle Flores smiled brightly, thanking you, Sir Hennessy. I assure you, you won't regret this choice. The ancient building looked like a European palace, bathed in warm sunlight. The rustling trees created a peaceful, dreamy scene. The Flores family was having a meal. Lady Flores asked, Giselle Flores, have you been busy lately? You look tired. Her face was haggard. She replied, Yes, I've been quite busy lately. Recently, I've been helping an author with their book. Self-development and editing the manuscript, he said in surprise. A book? Giselle Flores used a knife and fork to cut the steak on her plate. Yes, but doing it alone without a maid is a bit tiring. Lady Tusk Flores turned to ask Mariposa Flores, What do you mean there's no maid? Mariposa Flores, before we leave. I had specifically assigned a maid for Giselle Flores, but she smiled awkwardly. Oh, there must be some misunderstanding. Didn't Giselle Flores say she didn't like maids because they were bothersome? Giselle Flores was confused. Did I ever say that? Mariposa Flores, let's avoid that. I must have misunderstood. I thought you found it bothersome, so that's why. Giselle Flores was simmering with anger. How thick-skinned. The servants in the mansion are all her people, right? Never mind, let's keep planting the seeds like this. No matter how busy Count Flores Island, he will also realize something is off. Just wait until the day all sins are revealed. For now, this is enough. She stood up. Excuse me, I'm done eating now. May I take my leave? Yes, has he asked you to go? Giselle Flores politely smiled. Yes, today is the 3rd day since the book was released at the bookstore. I want to go there to check it out, and I also have an appointment with someone else about the self-development book. It's currently the hottest book in a short time. Hennessy was stunned by the scene of people coming and going. Both commoners and nobles were going crazy. It sold out with 100,000 copies in 3 days, creating such a frenzy that the brown-haired person yelled, Get away! The gray-haired person wouldn't back down either. It's mine. Both people got into a scuffle over a book. What's mine is right. The gray-haired person pulled the hair of the brown-haired person. Shut up and give it to me. Hennessy watched from outside. He couldn't believe his eyes. What the hell is this? This book hasn't sold a single copy in a year, and now, Even the best-selling book in the Empire only sold 50,000 copies in 3 days. How did she do this? Giselle Flores smiled. The method is simple. First, to attract attention, we need an eye-catching cover and a readable title. The previous book had a title that was too long and didn't attract attention. Nowadays, self-development books are everywhere. Readers won't know what the book is about. What kind of book is this? I don't know. On the contrary, if the book is appealing enough to the readers, it will create a crowd effect when everyone reads that book. Only those with titles. It makes people not glance away to survive. And the most important thing is the content. Giselle Flores, try reading one book. Lately, AI has been reading long-winded sentences too. I've shortened the sentences to keep the main points for concise content. It's easier to read. Combined with my father's beautiful writing magic, stimulating readers' curiosity. How to earn 100 billion in a minute. The next page is so curious that I could die. It's a self-development book. It makes people unable to stop reading from start to finish. Hennessy was born, and I understood. I will take revenge as agreed. How should I pay her? Giselle Flores thinks about the magical chest that Kalinos gave her last time, but it only holds 5 billion. I need to prepare a bigger one. The messenger once brought this chest to her. This is for the video contract that she didn't demand, giving her the right to decide. I will report later. First, please prepare a detailed and transparent list for me. Hennessy agreed, and thank you for helping me promote the book. Giselle Flores humbly said it was nothing. Actually, it's thanks to the perfect book. I just made it a bit more visually appealing. The most important thing is that Lord Hennessy trusted me. That's why I could do it. Thank you, my lord, who was stunned into silence. Then Hennessy smiled. He completely changed his mind about Giselle Flores, realizing that judging others based on external reputation was truly shallow. Hennessy nodded. As promised, I will agree to the marriage with the Duke. And besides marrying, I also want to continue observing Lady Giselle Flores. Is she really happy? Thank you, my lord. So from now on, I hope you help a lot. Lord Hennessy, the cold moonlight filtered through the bars, casting soft blue light down on the courtyard. Silent in that scene, Peterson's deep voice echoed. Your Grace, we have received the results from the Senate regarding the meeting related to the marriage with Miss Giselle Flores. The messenger turned around. Oh, what was the result? He reported. Lord Hennessy, who previously opposed, has now shifted to support. Therefore, the number of favorable votes in the Senate has surpassed the threshold. The marriage has officially been approved. He joyfully crossed his arms, so we can get married now. The messenger thought of Giselle Flores. She once firmly said that if you had to convince someone, start with the most important person in the Senate. Yes, I believe Giselle Flores is that person. The messenger smiled proudly. She actually did it. Patterson, helplessly said, Sir. He took something from the table. Then the messenger handed him a letter. Please send this letter to my grandfather. And arrange a dinner with the family tomorrow. We must inform them about the marriage. The room was filled with soft light. And arrange a family meal for tomorrow. We need to announce the engagement. The room is filled with soft light. Books stacked on all the wooden shelves. The Count's voice rang out softly. Giselle Flores, what book is this? Yes, Giselle Flores handed him the book. It's the one I mentioned a few days ago during breakfast that I'm helping to edit. Countess Florence understood. Ah, I see, but investing 1 minute a day to become a billionaire of 100 billion gold, is that really possible? This title is really intense. Isn't it? She smiled brightly. First impressions are always the most important. Suddenly, a voice announced it's time for the Countess's meeting. Sir, you need to move. Giselle Flores looked at the clock. It was already 1 o'clock. Oh, it's time already. I just stopped by to drop off the book, so I'll take my leave now. If you have time, please try to read it once. She was so happy and thought if possible I hope you can mention me. Countess Flores sat studying the book Giselle Flores provided. Giselle Flores contributed to making this book. I can't believe it. Even though she's Sahara's biological daughter, the writing style could be similar. But this fresh writing style is not just similar, it's superior. I thought this was an ordinary book. With such an eccentric title, what is this about? Giselle Flores has never studied at the academy. When the knight entered the room, he reported, Count, I have an update on this afternoon's schedule. You bought that book too. Count Florence was surprised. You know about this book? He replied, Of course. People are lined up outside the bookstore to buy it. You didn't know? He felt enlightened, so that's it. Count Florence thought. Sahara, if only you could read this book. It would be great, the knight continued. By the way, in the thank you note, there's a mention of someone named Giselle Flores, the same name as your lady. He asked, Is it really that Giselle Flores? He waved his hand. It can't be. A famous author like that can't mention your lady. She is still being gossiped about unfavorably. Who would dare to foolishly mention her name in a book? Count Giselle Flores's gaze turned steely. Have you forgotten that Giselle Flores is someone's daughter? The knight felt uneasy, so he bowed his head. I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. Count, he doesn't care. Go away. I don't want to see your face again. He timidly replied, I'm sorry, sir. Then the knight quickly exited the room. Count Florence reflected, how strange. Because I was busy with my journey to find relics, perhaps I didn't realize, but I can't shake the feeling. Everyone is deliberately looking down on the video. Could it be that I'm overthinking it? Count Florence thought to himself, I need to investigate. The building appeared majestic and white under the clear blue sky. Inside, Terran used a knife and fork to cut the steak on his plate. His face was tense, Vin's little brother, Terran Kalinos. Then Terran quietly asked, You called me early this morning to say you had something to talk about, right? Oh right, I remember. I have a girlfriend now, and I will marry her this month, he said. You're getting married? To whom? A lady, right? Don't tell me it's a male researcher? He calmly replied. It's Miss Giselle Flores. You got the fans screaming. Giselle Flores. Florida is the lady I met at the ball long ago. Terran thought, that shy girl? But isn't she currently being rumored unfavorably? How can this be true? How can it be like this? The reporter answered, We randomly met at the ball. I fell in love at first sight, you fool. What? You fell in love at first sight? Now that I think back, he always wore black. But lately, he's been wearing brighter colors. He brought research materials to the dining table, but today he didn't bring anything. This is the first time since he learned to walk. Even though I know it's not supposed to be like this. But could it be due to the pressure of the wedding? Sheen has gone too far. My brother has gone crazy and is planning to kidnap Jessie to force her to marry. Terran, think it over, okay? He also needs to ask for permission from Grandpa and Mom. Right? When I sent the letter to him, it felt like my mind wanted to scream. It shouldn't take a whole month for a letter to reach Grandpa who's lost. But he questioned me. As for me, can I immediately introduce my fiancé to Mom? Terran still can't believe the truth. Absolutely impossible. Not even within the family. No one can be as bold as Mom, the matriarch of the Kalinos family, who is stricter about manners and rules than anyone else. Besides, she is the one who holds the entire high society. How can I introduce my fiancé to her? Just thinking about presenting a partner to her island. Tim wants to run away, so he asked, What about the Council of Elders? I answered directly, No need to worry. They accepted it in no time. Terran still hasn't gotten over this shock. And now there's another shock? Yes, Vin explained. It was Giselle Flores who went to the council and convinced them. You must be kidding. It can't be true. That shy girl convinced the entire council. Clearly, she was forced to marry. He reminded me before leaving. The young lady will visit soon. I'll also try to arrange my schedule. I'm going ahead. I still have to deal with the research on the snot of the buffaloes. After Vin left, Terran was so shocked that his whole body trembled. The thought of this wedding keeps feeling so wrong. I have to inform Mom before he does something foolish. He hurried to the garden in the Duke's mansion. Kalinos yelled, Mom! At the same time, Juliana's voice rang out, What now? The brown-haired lady sighed. My Cordelia just got hurt while trying to tame a magical beast during class at the academy. The whole family is in a panic. She was shocked. Good heavens, is her body okay? The brown-haired lady replied, Fortunately, she just fainted. But I worry that if the rumor spreads, it will affect the engagement. The face of Juliana darkened. That sounded strange. If it's something she wanted to do, getting hurt a little and fainting is nothing unusual, right? Juliana Kalinos, the brown-haired lady, was worried. But if the rumor is that Cordelia behaved indecently, it would spread. Then she refuted. What's so important about that? Yes, the thing about her awakening her powers is what truly matters. Isn't that right? The brown-haired lady was flustered. It has to be true in this day and age. Who still values modest femininity? Well, let's call it a day today. Juliana, yes, everyone left one by one. She sighed. Today, I couldn't find a suitable match either. I have to marry Vin off. As soon as possible. Why is everyone so weak? Is it due to the mood? Why do I keep feeling something warm behind me? Suddenly, Terran rushed in, panting. Mom, are you here? Juliana frowned angrily, scolding that uncultured attitude. What was that, Terran? You heard the news yet? The Council of Elders has approved the marriage of the eldest brother. What? The Kalinos is getting married? Terran replied. Yes, he said he would bring his fiancée to meet mother soon. Juliana was curious. What is the young lady's name? You replied. It's Giselle Flores Florence. She gently placed her hand on her mouth. Giselle Flores Florence? Looks like I need to meet her soon at the Kalinos estate. The estate is bustling with excitement due to the marriage at the Count Florence's residence. Mai's voice rose up, very annoying. It's really frustrating. Why do I have to serve someone like Giselle Flores? The maid with green hair explained, There's no other way because it's the Count Florence's order, and she's so stuck up. No matter what, even if I'm demoted, I was once nobility, so I must speak respectfully. To a person famous for being promiscuous like Giselle Flores? Giselle Flores's personal maid. Someone like that isn't even worthy of being called a young lady. Suddenly, Giselle Flores appeared behind May like a ghost. Were you talking about me? She gasped from fright, startled. Why did you appear so suddenly? She responded. I have to ask for permission to leave my room? May looked displeased. Yes, so please don't leave your room anymore. If you're obedient, I'll consider treating you like a young lady. Yes, Giselle Flores deliberately provoked. Whether you treat me like a young lady or not is up to you. I have to go out today. She inquired, where are you going? May was furious inside. What's wrong with her? Normally, she would speak politely like Giselle Flores, even if she did nothing wrong. Sorry. May clenched her fists as if she wanted to burn her to ashes, crying with tears and snot. That Giselle Flores dares to look down on me? The food storage in the Count Florence's basement. I followed Giselle Flores's every step, following to see where she went. Why is she at the wine cellar? May gritted her teeth. But where are the people in the cellar? Everything is going as Giselle Flores planned. She lifted her lips, knowing that if she provoked, she would follow her. And now it's time to stir up trouble according to the plan. May was surprised. Wait, what are you doing? That's the aged wine that Mariposa Flores cherishes. She drank down a cup in one gulp, then overly excited because of the good wine. I love wine a lot. May rushed out, scolding. You're a young lady and drinking wine in the daytime? Why do such disgraceful things? What's going on? Giselle Flores wiped her mouth with her hand. What? Drinking wine during the day is great. I want a glass too. May held her hand back, asking her to sober up. If this gets to Count Florence's ears, you'll definitely be stripped of your title. Giselle Flores's expression was indifferent. What's wrong? Afraid of being scolded? This is really annoying, worrying about those things later. Giselle Flores kicked, causing the wine barrels to roll down. She joyfully lifted her glass. Now just enjoy it. May shouted. The price of that aged wine island. You better stop right now. Giselle Flores kept enjoying the party. Who cares about the world? It's just wine, even if it's expensive. So what? She got a craving. This girl really ate something wrong. If it continues like this, I will get scolded for not being able to stop Giselle Flores. Although the lady instructed me to keep quiet for now, I can't just stand by and watch this nonsense. A little scare, and Giselle Flores will stop right away. The cloud is furious, shouting loudly with wide eyes and flushed cheeks. Giselle Flores, if you keep this up, I'll be scolded by the Count. Giselle Flores instinctively slapped her mercilessly. She was stern and cold as she just called the young lady's name. You serve her so rudely? May holds her aching cheek. Are you really insane? Why is Giselle Flores smiling so brightly? Fine, I'll keep drinking. Get out of my sight. I can't stop you. This is really insane. I must immediately report to Mariposa Flores to have her locked up in a mental institution. May points directly at her face. Stay right here for me. Let's see if you dare to do that in front of the lady. Giselle Flores indifferently rolls her eyes. All right. Hurry up. I'm still waiting. Good. The obstacle has disappeared. Her gaze is determined, her expression serious and full of resolve in principle. That person is always lazy and stealing wine before he arrives. I need to finish this first. It's not like I just spilled aged wine everywhere. According to the principle, there's a spot that collapses when the wine is poured. And beneath that crack, there is a type of magic that is not damaged by water or earth. That's where the ledger is hidden. The secret accountant of Count Florence. Kima hurriedly ran down. Huh? Why is the door open again? Who is that? Put down what you're holding. Hello, miss. You look pleased. Finally, we meet. It's nice to see you, uncle. The man who used to be the accountant of the estate but was demoted to a winekeeper because of the umbrella Mariposa Flores brought. The genius accountant who invented the double-entry bookkeeping method. Uncle Kim, you hid the ledger here, right? He looked startled. How do you know? Giselle Flores reassured him. Don't misunderstand. I will keep the secret about you swapping the books. Kima's eyes lit up. Is it true? She suggested. Yes, but I have two conditions. First, you must give me the artifact that stores gold you are keeping. I heard it is compact enough to fit in the palm of your hand but can hold up to 1,000 billion gold, thanks to spatial magic. He stepped back in fear. How does she know? The item I bought to use when I returned to being an accountant, but no one knew about it. A video continues after he gets reinstated. I want you to advise me on managing my finances, Kima wondered. What do you mean? She praised the double-entry bookkeeping method. I just took a quick look, but already see a clear way to manage finances, making money management much easier. A genius like you, I think I can trust you with the money. Kima was touched, realizing that she recognized her accounting ability. Why has everyone looked down on me all this time? Tears streamed down his face. Kima wiped his tears away. Why are tears falling again? Giselle Flores quickly took the paper from her dress and held it up for him to see. So what do you think? Do you want to sign a contract with me? The contract contains the following information. Contract for processing artifacts and slave assistance. This contract is signed between Giselle Flores, hereinafter referred to as Party A, and Kima hereinafter referred to as Party B under a lifetime contract with the following content. Clause 1. Party B will assist Party A in financial management without receiving compensation. Clause 2. Party A has the obligation to assist Party B in reinstatement. Kima agrees to this. But how do you know that? Suddenly, the clouds brought Mariposa Flores down to scold Giselle Flores for causing trouble in the house like this. Are you still sane, Giselle Flores? Smiling contentedly, Madame Mariposa Flores arrived just in time. I just found something very interesting, Madame. Can you follow me for a bit? Count Flores, speak up. According to these records, it seems someone has embezzled for over 5 years. She trembles with fear. He solemnly questioned. What's going on here? Count Flores leaned in, focused, listening to the secretary read the report. The Count has completed tracing Miss Giselle Flores's past and wishes to report first. The response from the household regarding Miss Giselle Flores has been quite negative, especially from Madame Mariposa Flores. She always cared for Miss Giselle Flores, but the young lady refused, and often stayed holed up in her room. I've heard she even cursed. She cursed and opposed Madame Mariposa Flores as well. However, most of the witnesses are servants, and there are many inconsistent details that make us suspect that this is fabricated. Additionally, the former accountant of the household transferred business plans executed by Madame Mariposa Flores under a pseudonym for the past 5 years. He took the report to review. There are no detailed records. The secretary nodded and explained. Yes, only profits are recorded. All expenses have been omitted. Count Flores pondered, lost in thought. Although it appears to be a standard accounting method, it lacks clarity about the purpose of use, making it very difficult to track cash flow. It's as if it was intentionally written that way, and the trend of biased evaluations against Giselle Flores also shows signs of deception, not just once or twice. Could it be that Mariposa Flores? He summoned Mariposa Flores into the room for questioning. There are too many wasteful projects. Mariposa Flores. Do you know about this? She trembles, stuttering. That island. Count Flores stood up, continuing to interrogate. It's unclear whether you don't know or are ignoring it, but I am truly disappointed. Mariposa Flores panicked, trying to clarify. I'm not like that. He approached Kima, asking. And you, your name is Kima, right? You were the accountant 5 years ago, isn't that right? He timidly replied. Yes, that's correct. Count Flores boldly criticized, daring to act in front of us. Someone who improved the accounting system to be more efficient than the old method. From the Council of Elders to my sister. All incompetent people. This accounting book is a revolution. How could such a person be pushed down? To be in the wine cellar? She was sweating nervously. That island. He angrily raised his voice. No need to justify. For now, don't interfere in the family matters. Just self-reflect. Social participation is also prohibited, only allowed to communicate with the eldest maid. Mariposa Flores panicked, trying to clarify. My brother is wronged, and Giselle Flores might be lying. Why do you treat your own brother like this? Lady Florence stood across from her, questioning her about being wronged. Why is the one verifying the account books value you? Or do you think I'm a fool? She was flustered and denied it, saying it's not like that. He gritted his teeth. Every word hits the dark heart of Mariposa Flores. Or why are you blaming the child that you always bully at home? Why is she trembling, clutching the hem of her dress? Mariposa Flores lost her cool and shouted, No way. Why do you say that? Lady Florence crossed her arms and interrupted. Enough. I don't want to hear any more whining. She lowered her head. June, trembling, didn't dare to retort. Giselle Flores turned to look at Mariposa Flores with a thoughtful gaze. She was caught. Now I can't act like before. He turned to her and asked, How did you find this ledger? Kima just noticed and remembered that she still hadn't heard how the young lady found the ledger. Mariposa Flores laughed and replied mischievously while sipping wine. Lady Florence understood. If you say so, then it must be true. He was startled, not expecting her to believe it so easily. She cheerfully asked, So can I ask for a reward? He nodded in agreement. Sure, what do you want as a reward? Giselle Flores, without hesitation, pointed at a maid. In front of the maid's confusion, she raised her voice, accusing, Please punish this maid. When there were only 2 people in the wine cellar, she had called me disrespectfully and behaved rudely. The maid was still shouting back, But it's you who hit me first. What? Arms crossed, gritting her teeth. Yes, I hit you. So what? Am I wrong for punishing a disrespectful maid? She was speechless, but Countess Florence, losing patience, said, Is this really happening? We can't keep a rude maid like that. I will kick her out of the mansion as punishment. She rejoiced, excitedly exclaiming, Really? Please expel her without a recommendation letter or severance pay. The maid panicked and protested. No recommendation letter? What's the difference between that and telling a maid to go die? What? Giselle Flores shrugged. uninterested. What does that have to do with me? She looked over at Mariposa Flores, pleading for help. Please save me. Say something. She didn't respond but looked at his expression. What's going on? Why do you trust Giselle Flores so much? What is this? Giselle Flores is the biggest burden of this estate. Those three are gathered, chatting about you going back to being the estate's accountant, Mariposa Flores. Unwilling, why has it turned out like this? The scene shifts to the image of the carriage rolling along, Vincent unable to believe what was written in the newspaper. What happened? Special news. Mariposa Flores has been internally punished. What is going on? Hot news. Rumors of items being hidden in the estate. Conflicts between Lady and Mr. Colinos for many years. He pondered deeply, reading the news carefully, not expecting that events occurring overnight at the Florence estate would become the focus of the press. Especially Miss Giselle Flores, who was once suspected of being an alcoholic. It's time to investigate her. The messenger raised his head and spoke. Miss Giselle Flores. Could it be that everything is part of your plan? Yes. Giselle Flores nodded in confirmation. Yes, because I think doing this will be more certain. A lady with a low reputation, with social ties and a family full of conflicts, will end up in the tabloids. If someone like that were to become a daughter-in-law, would any family of the groom truly be pleased? After receiving the invitation from Colinos, I prepared for the news to be published immediately. I still want to keep the engagement with the Flores family a secret, so I had to quietly manage the invitation and the outing. In her mind, the image of Mariposa Flores appeared. Because I don't know what Mariposa Flores would do if I had a relationship with Colinos later when she finds out. She would surely be furious, right? In the middle of the video, she continued to ask. That really makes sense. So today we will meet the Duke and the former Duchess. Oh, he stroked his chin thoughtfully, revealing the schedule. Today we will meet my mother and brother. She stared intently at the messenger and asked, Is that so? In Giselle Flores's mind, thoughts intertwined, reminding her. In principle, it seems there was no mention of the former Duke of the Colinos family. Surely he isn't dead yet, right? Oh, she clapped her hands and smiled brightly. Understood. Then, let's meet my mother-in-law first. But I have something to ask the messenger. Curious, he asked. What is it? Oh, consider it as you've agreed. In front of the Duke's mother, we must pretend to be the most deeply in love couple in the world. So I think we need to act a little. Can you do that? He nodded without thinking much and agreed immediately. Pretending to be lovers? All right, sounds interesting. Let's see how it goes at the parents' house. The messenger Taryn happily stood up and greeted as he saw the two walk in. You have arrived. Miss Giselle Flores has also arrived. Juliana sternly criticized. Please sit down, my son, you are a bit late. She looked straight into the lady's eyes, silently assessing that from the beginning, she considered herself as heir. Oh, that's good. I won't have to worry about creating more enemies. Even though O had already been resolved, she obediently opened her mouth to greet. Long time no see, dear mother. This is my fiancée, Miss Giselle Flores. She politely bowed to Juliana. Hello, mother, I am Giselle Flores. Then she flashed a friendly pageant smile, thinking, all right, let's see who acts better. The lady frowned, nervously staring at her and silently assessing the room of Juliana at the Colinos mansion. Oh, report to the supervisor. The information about Miss Giselle Flores is recorded in this report. Yes, it's true, right? The servants replied in unison. Yes, that's right. Juliana contemplated. Miss Giselle Flores was once rumored to be involved with the Marquise Bertolucci, a prosecutor, and also the civil servant Lysanian in her family, who is considered a burden. Bertolucci, a prosecutor, and also Lysanian, a civil servant in her family, is also seen as a burden, or crying like a weakling. Hello. Juliana stood up and spoke with a sarcastic tone, ordinary and weak indeed. People like that are unnecessary for Colinos. Let's let the guests know why we are Colinos back in the dining room. Giselle Flores bowed and paid her respects. Hello, I am Giselle Flores. She frowned silently, scanned her quickly. Juliana smiled professionally. Taryn looked at Miss Giselle Flores. Today, I remember when you were just starting to host guests. Taryn replied in surprise. Yes, while Juliana continued to speak in subtle hints for Giselle Flores to hear. Back then, she would often play pranks. Adorable in front of adults, she looked so cute then. She's not a fool who doesn't understand. Indeed, the socialite queen, as soon as she opened her mouth, used words full of implications. The previous sentence was clearly sarcastic, that she was trying to appear cute like a child, but at this level, it was still mild. Giselle Flores smiled gently, trying to appear adorable. Oh, she must have been very cute back then. Inside, she didn't care about that. It wasn't as scary compared to her reputation. The servant opened her mouth and suggested, Dear mother, let's sit down and talk. She fell silent for a moment before speaking to give the order. Catherine Ronos, serve the meal. The atmosphere at the dining table dimmed as the two naturally began to eat. Meanwhile, she and Juliana sat silently, not touching their food. Giselle Flores sighed heavily, looking at the woman who had clearly shown her rejection earlier, adding to the incident where the maid accidentally spilled water and food on her plate, which was the only dish that looked terrible. The water had been drunk, and the food was still edible. At first, the servant helped, but later on, Juliana always interrupted, making it impossible for her to speak. A female servant unexpectedly walked up beside her and deliberately dropped a knife in front of Giselle Flores. She pretended to be careless, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, the knife just slipped from my hand." Taryn stammered awkwardly. She spoke sharply with malice. "Oh, my maid has made a mistake. Miss Dai, it seems your dress is torn. If you need to fix it, you can stand up. I'll apologize on behalf of my family, but something like that isn't a big deal to us. As you know, the Kalinos family always protects the empire's borders. Unlike other families, even with a female head." Juliana glanced at the empty chair next to her. She continued in a suggestive tone. "No need for socializing. Just try to push for marriage and see what happens." Although she didn't know if AI acknowledged her in the family, the three remained silent, watching Juliana's back. She suddenly leaned on Taryn's shoulder, acting coy. "My love, you heard that, right? Mother has agreed for us to marry. Hurry up and add to it." He awkwardly and clumsily expressed his joy. "Really? I really like you." Taryn, confused, shouted. "Do you really mean it? Miss, do you really want to marry my brother?" Giselle Flores nodded in confirmation. He was shocked and surprised. "What?" She looked straight into Taryn's eyes and sweetly said, "Because the Duke loves me very, very much, right, my love?" He was stunned, surprised to hear these words from Giselle Flores. Taryn lowered his gaze, deep in thought. He took her hand and replied, "Of course, my love. Taryn, you should go home first. I'll stay with my love a little longer." Giselle Flores followed, and Taryn said goodbye. "So, see you later, young master." He stood there, watching her back. Two people have no idea what the heck is going on. Are they really in love? Yes, after he took her out to the balcony, she finally relaxed her body. "It's finally over. Did I do well today? After all, I've been given permission to marry, right?" The attendant nodded, carefully reminding her that it was excellent. "But from now on, please limit unnecessary contact." Giselle Flores suddenly understood what he was referring to. Was it about sitting on his lap earlier? Did he feel uncomfortable? The attendant placed a hand on her chest and explained that after she sat on my lap, my heart started racing unusually fast. Auntie turned red and felt embarrassed. She was confused about what that meant, both the words just spoken and the atmosphere. Wait, could it be that the Grand Duke is someone who says whatever comes to mind? Yes, ever since she interacted with her. The heart rate increased by 1.75 times compared to normal, and her ears also turned red. Unusual anxiety symptoms were detected. I guess it's because of excessive pin friend release. Giselle Flores forced a stiff smile in response. Ah yes, she sighed and fell into thought. What? Is it just an interesting research discovery? No matter what, this chaotic scene can be considered a temporary success, but talking about heart rates is probably not going to earn any rewards. He sincerely expressed that no matter what, in the coming year, he hopes she can help him. Giselle Flores felt shy and curious. Yes, me too. So what do I need to do until the wedding? The attendant just noticed and replied, about that. Until the wedding, we will arrange a personal tutor for you to receive the education of our family. The teacher will be Elder Ednis, a trusted person of my mother, and his personality is quite eccentric. He can entrust you with dangerous tasks. Be careful. She propped her chin on her hand and asked, "You mean Elder Ednis? Can you tell me more about him?" The next morning at the Kalanos Duke's residence, Giselle Flores's footsteps echoed in the empty hallway. She held a piece of paper in her hand, unable to hide the joy on her face. All right, the family map and necessary information have been collected. Now there's just one thing left. The door opened, and Ednis had been waiting for Giselle Flores inside for a long time. "You're late, Miss Giselle Flores. Please take a seat." In her mind, she had only one task left, to find the ingredients for the elixir. His stern voice criticized her. "Ha, I really believed in you. You must be quite knowledgeable about the Kalinos family, yet you don't know any basic knowledge about the family? The future husband? Everyone knows the Kalinos family's foundation is the making of elixirs." She beamed and replied, "Oh, I see. I know all about that." A thought crossed Giselle Flores's mind. "I know that very well, but according to the contract, I have to play the role of someone who is somewhat lacking." Ednis continued his lecture. "Listen carefully. The making of elixirs revolves around the village chief council. I'm also researching Goblin's masterpiece phlegm." He nodded thoughtfully, realizing that he was indeed at a disadvantage compared to the other elders right now. "But soon, Goblin's phlegm will become a big hit," she interrupted Agnes's train of thought. "But right now, you're stuck in perfecting that masterpiece, aren't you?" He flinched nervously because he was told the truth. How did she know that today Giselle Flores held up the page to present him? The book that Lord Ednis gave had notes like that. Isn't that material very hard to find? How can that herb only exist in imagination? The Halon's grass. Halon's grass has not been discovered in nearly 25 years. It may have gone extinct since then. Ednis quickly snatched the book from her hands, explaining that she had read that since when, no matter what is learned from books has its limits. You seem to know nothing about the Kalinos family, so let me go tour the elixir research room. Our pride, she asked in surprise. Oh really? He lost his composure, wide-eyed as he continued. The semen of all kinds of monsters looks strange and terrifying. Most visitors end up running away, but because Lady Giselle Flores is so smart, I just wanted to introduce her to the other elders. I mean no harm. Giselle Flores clasped her hands and smiled brightly. Oh, what a coincidence. I also want to meet the elders. Ednis helplessly sighed sarcastically. It won't do any good. Yes. He continued, by the way, since you're here, I want to introduce you at the right time of a meeting. I have to ask permission from the other elders first. Please wait a moment, she replied with a sweet voice. Yes, I understand. Giselle Flores watched Ednis's back and was ready. Then we should start taking action. Moving to the castle's flower garden, she strolled alone in the garden, under the warm rays of sunshine within the principles of Barto. The male supporting character, who once regretted coming to the Kalinos' manor, accidentally discovered Halon's grass and successfully negotiated with the Kalinos family, a rare herb thought to have been found in the estate, causing the whole household to be in disarray. Giselle Flores walked straight ahead with determination. If I remember correctly, that grass is in the emblem of a count. Close to the Council of Elders, I can't let that guy find it before me. The servants' dormitory of the Kalinos. All the male servants were stunned and surprised by her appearance here. Hello. A gray-haired servant spoke up to explain that's s.os. This is the first time I've met the young lady. Are you lost? This is the servants' area. Please turn back. Giselle Flores shrugged and shook her head. No. I'm in the right place. I want to tour this area. No. He still tried to stop her. But, young lady, the servants' quarters are not a place for nobles to enter. No matter what, the status is still clearly different. She didn't care and walked past, wanting to see anyway. Giselle Flores glanced at the others, searching to see who, by principle. The Halon's grass was not this person. Not that person. Finally, her gaze stopped at one person. Giselle Flores pointed at a male servant with freckles. Call that guy here for a moment. In her mind, she joyfully cheered, found him, and he timidly approached. Miss, is there something wrong? She pointed at the freckled male servant's badge hanging on his chest and asked about it. Hey, could you show me that for a moment? He looked confused and surprised. The badge. But this island. Giselle Flores picked up the badge, saying, just let me have a look for a moment, while the freckled male servant panicked and was flustered. When did she get a hold of it? She tightly gripped the badge in her hand, thinking to herself, by principle, those with magic will feel a slight electric current on the surface when holding this tightly. Suddenly, there was a current from the badge. Giselle Flores spread her arms, the corners of her mouth curved up in satisfaction. Perfect. He was bewildered, loudly demanding it back. You're making me uncomfortable, you know? She said in a sulky tone. If anyone sees this, they will think I'm a thief. I just wanted to see the medal for a moment, but I know, I'll keep this. Ednis ran over. Angry, what's going on here? Why are you wandering around the estate like this? Hearing his voice, Giselle Flores turned around, looking clear-headed. Oh, Mr. Ednis, has the meeting ended? I've been waiting, so I got a bit bored and went for a walk, and ended up here. But I found something extremely interesting, you know? Scene changes to a white castle, the meeting room of the Elder Council. Hennessy, sitting in the chair, spoke up, please come in, Miss Giselle Flores. She walked in, beaming a bright smile in greeting. It's a pleasure to meet you all for the first time, right? I am the lovely fiancée of the Duke. Hello, Giselle Flores. The other elders were surprised that she just called herself the lovely fiancée. Hennessy spoke up, asking, but, Mr. Akadich, are you okay? Your complexion doesn't look very good. He awkwardly waved his hand, saying it's nothing, and the old man spoke up again. So, what's the reason you came to the Elder Council, Giselle Flores? She took the badge out of her pocket and said, oh, this is because of this. Hennessy quickly recognized it. Isn't that the badge of a servant? She spoke in a meaningful tone. That's right, but this is not an ordinary badge. The old man curiously lingered. If it's not an ordinary badge, then, today, Giselle Flores approached Hennessy and explained. I just heard a servant say that when touching this badge, their hands get pricked, feeling like sparks fly from their palms. Why don't you all try touching it? An elder with purple hair reached out to take it but didn't forget to grumble. No way. How can a normal badge cause irritation? He just held up the badge and a current flowed through the elder's arm. Ednis was wide-eyed in surprise when he heard him shout. This reaction, could it be the Halon grass? Immediately, all the other elders gathered around curiously. Halon grass growing in the badge? Why is it growing in the badge? Could it have accidentally met the growth conditions? Congratulations, Mr. Ednis. You can finally concoct the potion. He broke into a joyful smile. Finally, I can perfect the goblin robe. The elder with purple hair waved his hand, challenging him, but to be fair, the stuff inside that badge is only enough to make one potion, right? If you want to produce a real potion, you need to at least know how to cultivate Halon grass. Giselle Flores smiled warmly, answering, Who said I don't know how to grow it? Give me 2 hours, and I will show you the Halon grass growing. He placed his hand on her shoulder and asked loudly, You mean you know how to grow Halon grass? How so? She nodded firmly. Yes, I was just inspired by a romance novel. Ednis was taken aback, shouting, What? This is not the time for jokes, miss. Hennessy pondered, stroking his beard. 2 hours, right? Yes, just 2 hours, right? The old man decided to give her a chance to show off. There's something in her mind. This is a great opportunity for her to showcase in front of everyone. He raised his voice to stop him. Mr. Hennessy, do you really believe that? After all, she is not yet a duchess. She cheerfully exclaimed, Yes, let me try. Giselle Flores stood silently in front of the experiment table, remembering how to grow Halon grass, which is to take seeds from a plant often considered a weed, the magenta, and mix it with camellia minerals. In water at a certain temperature, the magenta seeds will sprout into Halon grass in principle. Bodo accidentally found it in the badge of the bone servant. That was just to give the protagonist a chance to shine, but now she has quickly successfully concocted Halon grass. In Giselle Flores's mind, the thought flashed, I will take all the credit from those elders. They were wide-eyed in disbelief. The magenta seeds have really turned into Halon grass. I thought this species was extinct, but now studying goblin mucus can be accelerated. Ennis smiled awkwardly, unable to believe this was happening. It felt like a dream, with laughter ringing in his ears. Congratulations, Mr. Ennis. She was confused. Wait, why are we congratulating Ednis? He explained from the side. Because he has obtained the halo grass. Giselle Flores was puzzled. How did he get it? Ednis mysteriously replied. From now on, the lady will teach you how. She blinked, her eyes sparkling, asking further. Huh? I never said I would teach you. He waved his hands awkwardly, explaining, But you are the fiancé of the Duke. For the sake of our family, you should. Giselle Flores crossed her arms, annoyed. I'm still not the Duchess. I'm not stupid enough to give without receiving anything in return. Ednis's confused voice echoed, but Boston would save many people thanks to her, healing countless patients. It's quite an honorable task, isn't it? She frowned and spoke sternly, but Ednis yelled in my face and threw a book at me. So I didn't want to help at all. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy, and everyone looked pale and confused. Is that true? He bowed his head 90 degrees in front of Giselle Flores, admitting his fault. I'm sorry, I won't accept the noble title. I sincerely apologize. Please forgive me and just show me the way. She bent down and replied with a clear, melodious tone. An apology must come with sincerity and money. If you are genuinely sorry, pay me the royalties from Ednis. Bewildered, he negotiated the royalties. I'll share 10% of the monthly revenue with you, Giselle Flores said. Holding her head, her tone deflated. But my emotional wounds from Ednis haven't quite healed yet. He had to concede, then it's 15%. She sighed heavily, feeling tired and weighed down. Then Eddie tightened his grip, saying 20%. More than that would be a loss. Giselle Flores raised her hand in agreement, but still put forth another condition. That's fine. And add a clause that Mr. Hennessy should also be credited as a co-author. What? He exclaimed, eyes wide and mouth agape. In her heart, she had already made her own calculations. By undermining Agnes's reputation and bringing Hennessy, the one on her side, into the group. Later, it would be easier for her to take action. Then Ednis awkwardly stammered. Why is it like this? Giselle Flores feigned innocence, asking, Don't you like it? Then the goblin research won't be able to proceed. He sighed, convinced. All right, you win. I'll go prepare the contract. Transitioning to her room, Ednis picked up the book to lecture. So, have you ever heard about the former Duke Ganos being in the eastern region? Giselle Flores lounged on the couch, yawning all day, only studying the boring Kalino's family history. Isn't there anything more interesting? Although he was very annoyed, he tried to force a smile. It was understandable. Ednis tried to convince himself to hold back. Hollins were also related to this, and the lady advised him to keep an eye on her. A day earlier, Juliana spoke up, probing. Seems like she has been giving you a hard time, hasn't she? Ednis shook his head in denial. It's just that she has something extraordinary. At first, I thought she was just a silly young lady, but the way she held her ground, her interests amid seemingly carefree jokes, and even the matter with Dean Hennessy, gradually began to side with her. She truly has a captivating charm. The lady cleared her throat, correcting Ednis. You shouldn't speak carelessly about the elder or Nessie. He jumped, rubbing his neck and stammering. I'm sorry. Juliana picked up her teacup, continuing. Either way, it seems we need to keep observing. Let's keep an eye on all her actions. Agnes respectfully replied, Yes, I understand. Giselle Flores interjected, bringing Agnes back to reality. So instead of history, could you introduce the research rooms? He panicked, stammering a response. Yes, of course. In the Kalinos' mansion, there are a total of 3 research institutes, including the Duke's private research room. The research room is under the Elder Council and a small room belonging to Miss Juliana, where she and a few close associates develop magical tools. Besides that, the Kalinos Research Institute also produces all kinds of things, from swords and armor to potions and artifacts. She rested her chin thoughtfully and asked if Miss Juliana had a research room as well, to which Ednis nodded affirmatively. Yes, because Miss Juliana used to be a sorceress. Ednis pondered and made a suggestion. Oh, really? Then I want to visit that research institute next time. He panicked, wanting to stop her. But the research institute doesn't allow outsiders. She interjected, persuading him. I'm about to become part of the Kalinos family anyway. And besides, my money is also tied up with the goblin. In principle, even though goblins' potions have superior effects, they suffered a crushing defeat due to Kalinos' terrible marketing, eventually being overshadowed by Bodo's ridiculous potions. But if I use the excuse of acquiring rights to intervene in its distribution, it will suffer another defeat like before. The corners of her mouth curled up. She calculated that 20% of her royalties were at risk, and she would promote it really well, earning at least 1 billion won in profit. Then I would have at least 1.7 billion won, enough to hire a master of magic. Extremely skilled, Catherine Ronos entered the room holding a letter, and Miss Giselle Flores was surprised and asked, Sister, what's going on? The maid Catherine Ronos looked at her, reading the letter and said, Miss Juliana sent a letter to Miss Giselle Flores. Ednis was startled to see Giselle Flores suddenly stand up. What's going on? She walked to the door and turned back with a joyful smile. I will visit Count Florence's mansion. I need to prepare for the wedding ceremony on a warm morning at the royal palace during the main meeting of the royal council. Have you heard these whispers? What whispers? I heard that Kalinos will also attend a meeting today. Meanwhile, Count Florence was very silent, wondering what Giselle Flores might be doing at that moment. I hope the meeting ends quickly, the people around continued to discuss. It's been a while since Kalinos attended a council meeting. I heard Kalinos already has a fiancé. Someone sitting next to him asked in confusion about Kalinos. He has a fiancé? Could it be someone as tall as 2 meters? Thinking back, that wouldn't be too bad. If he has a fiancé, he should hurry back north to deal with wedding matters, right? He looked troubled, crossing his arms. He had been thinking all this time, and everyone was just talking about Kalinos, saying he was still hunting monsters. In a way, nobody could imagine. He had to avoid entanglements with Giselle Flores at all costs. Just as he thought about this, in a way, no one could imagine. He had to avoid getting entangled with Giselle Flores at all costs. As soon as he thought of this, the person next to him also mentioned her, and when it comes to marriage proposals, one cannot fail to mention young lady Giselle Flores. I heard she goes everywhere proposing, making the whole family lose face. Even the Count knows about it. Right? Count Flores slammed his hand on the table angrily. What? Losing face? That person over there is so unreasonable and continues to speak ill of her. Oh, you just arrived, so you probably don't know. I've heard that she used to cling to both the Barto and the Duke Lysanian. There was even a time when she got a face full of onions right at the ball. He couldn't take it anymore and snapped, getting hit with onions. That person still hasn't realized anything strange and continues to recount, indeed crying and running away, feeling utterly embarrassed. It's a pity for Count Flores to have to raise such an ugly duckling. Count Florence immediately slammed his hand down on the table. He shouted loudly, Enough! How dare you say anything about my niece? Revoke that statement immediately, or don't expect to leave this room peacefully. The people around began to get irritated and argued back at the Count. Why do you speak like that? You are the one being rude. At that moment, from behind, the messenger entered, coldly questioning, It's almost time for the meeting, and it's so noisy. What's going on? The people sitting at the meeting table became flustered and stammered. Duke, we were just talking as usual. Regarding the rumors about Miss Giselle Flores, Count Florence suddenly paused upon hearing this. Miss Giselle Flores, that person still doesn't know what's happening, insisting once more. Yes, that's right. In an instant, that person was forcefully pushed down by him. The dazed person exclaimed, Oh! His action was so quick that no one could react. Just staring blankly in that direction, the messenger spoke up, reminding and threatening. That's not a name you have the right to mention. That person hurriedly begged Count Florence, Please spare my life. Count Florence, sitting beside, could only look on dumbfounded. What is this? Why did he get angry when he heard someone speak ill of Giselle Flores? Yes, the messenger stood up. brushing his hands off and turning to him, reassuring. Don't worry too much, my lord. He still didn't understand what was happening, stammering. Yes, he casually continued. Moreover, we'll meet again soon. Not to say that we should meet again soon. He was confused, wondering what that meant. After a while, everything returned to its calm state. Count Flores walked out of the meeting room, still dazed, thinking that today's meeting lasted longer than expected. But what was that Kalinos all about? Suddenly, a voice called out to him. Count, has the meeting ended? As soon as he saw her, he quickly walked over. Giselle Flores, why are you here? She calmly explained. I have something to discuss with you. Just a little. Can you come with me? So the two of them went to the cafe salon together. Looking at the pink surroundings, he sighed. I didn't expect you to be interested in places like this. Giselle Flores gently replied. Because I want to have beautiful moments like this with you. But suddenly her mind wandered off somewhere. Catherine Ronos's face appeared. Miss Juliana wanted to arrange the wedding date. And surely she understood that the marriage between the two families needed a ceremonial event, right? Thinking of this, she broke into a smile. That rude housekeeper thought I couldn't handle the celebration. Immediately after, she asked the Count, Count Florence, do you like coffee? He smiled and replied, I drink it quite often. The spices brought back from the voyages pair very well with coffee, tea, and food. Giselle Flores quickly chimed in. That's right, which is why the spices are very expensive. He curiously asked back, are you looking to invest in the spice industry? Giselle Flores smiled and replied, I'm researching some things. Who knows, I might be able to help you with something. The more he heard, the angrier Count Florence became. Clenching his fists, he thought, how could a bright and innocent child be treated like this? It's all my fault for trusting Mariposa Flores too much. At that time, I couldn't even take care of the girl, yet I was blind because of a friend's relic. At that moment, it felt like being possessed, only knowing to dive headfirst into a goal without caring about anything else. Lately, I've been trying not to repeat that mistake. Even regretting the past is useless, so from now on, I'll take good care of Giselle Flores. And then he spoke up. All right, be a wizard, do business, do whatever you want, but find a new teacher to teach you the magic. It coincides with the opening time at the academy, so it's really tough. How about you try applying to the academy, Giselle Flores? Hearing that, she thought for a moment and quickly asked, but does the academy accept adults who are past the school age? Yes, at this point, he remembered that and said, that's also true. Besides that, is there anything else you wish for? She cheerfully spoke up. There's one thing about the missing money in the records that Kima has noted. If I can find the whereabouts of that money, could you let me keep all of it? Count Florence calmly agreed. If you can find it, then of course. But tracking down unrecorded transactions will be very difficult. Giselle Flores smiled to reassure him. It's fine, so you promised, right? He looked puzzled. Yes, I promise. The scene shifted to the room of the informant. On the table was a book recording tips for impressing the father-in-law, showing him that he was capable. Helping him, he slowly spoke up. So, the celebration seems to be resolved satisfactorily. Good, I've just scored points with the future father-in-law. So, our chances of getting married have increased, right? The dating manual for the upper class. But before we get to that, don't you have something you need help with? Giselle Flores asked in confusion. Help with what? Suddenly, he spoke up, reminding her of Mariposa Flores' florist. You want revenge on her, right? We'll help you carry out that plan. Giselle Flores seemed very surprised. How do you know? He replied mysteriously. Your actions are enough to understand. No, I want my people to focus solely on the task. If needed, you can borrow our family's name, or I can step in to help you myself. His sincere words moved Giselle Flores deeply. She leaned on the table, stood up, and responded. All right, then let's plan for tomorrow when Giselle Flores and Vintin are meeting at the Count's estate. Florence, he is angry, clenching his fist as he questions her. Mariposa Flores. You know all the rumors about Giselle Flores. They are circulating in high society, right? She bowed her head, feeling guilty. Yes, I have heard them. Lady Flores is becoming more irritated. So why didn't you correct it right away and just let it be? Mariposa Flores, with wide eyes, tries to explain. I feel so wronged, of course. Because I didn't take care of Giselle Flores well. It's my fault. But the bullying of Giselle Flores isn't just my fault. I also suffered greatly after the divorce and returning home. Yet you always only care about Giselle Flores. You've never believed me before, only focused on that girl. You don't know how much I worried. And how hard I tried for her. Count Flores gritted his teeth, questioning. Even so, for everything to turn out this way, it's still wrong. While you were away, I was the oldest in the house and had to take responsibility. Mariposa Flores suddenly dropped a letter and asked again, responsibility as the oldest in the house? All right, this time I will take responsibility. This is an invitation from the Kalinos family. That surprised him a bit. What? The Kalinos know I'm AI and sent an invitation? She quickly thought of a reason because I have been working for the family all this time. Apparently, they are interested in the cafe that I'm running. If you lift the house arrest, tomorrow I will prove how useful I am to the family. Returning to reality, Mariposa Flores is very worried, tightly holding her teacup, saying that, but if we can't win over Kalinos today, it will be a big deal. Although I've bribed the maids, I'm sure no one will dare to report the bullying of Giselle Flores, but if it's him, sooner or later, he will find out everything. So today we must build a good relationship with the Duke. Kalinos. At that moment, outside there began to be footsteps as Vin Tin pushed the door and entered. Upon seeing him, he began to scheme. He won't easily chase me away due to his favoritism towards that little girl. Giselle Flores will also be finished. Mariposa Flores hurriedly stood up to greet him. Hello, Kalinos. She stared at him, commenting, just as the rumors say, he has the aura of a killer. Mariposa Flores lifted her dress to curtsy. Thank you for coming all this way. I heard you wanted to meet me. Vin Tin calmly responded. I want to introduce my fiancé. That left Mariposa Flores stunned. Oh my, are you saying there is a lady honored to be the Duchess? You're telling me this? It's truly an honor for my family on the surface, but she thinks internally, suddenly mentioning the Duchess. Is she the one related to today's meeting? Mariposa Flores quickly complimented. Oh my, she must be a very beautiful lady. Surely a noble and dignified person. I wonder if it's someone I know. The attendant smiled gently and then spoke, giving orders. Now you can go. Giselle Flores humorously raised her voice, leaving her stunned. Yes, that's right, I actually am. Very noble and dignified. But why is the Mariposa Flores so angry as soon as she sees you, Giselle Flores? What? 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 You're here? She pleasantly hugged his arm and replied, What do you mean? I am the fiancée of the Duke. She couldn't believe it, bewildered she exclaimed. What? Is that true, Duke? He coldly glanced at her and asked back. Is there a problem? Giselle Flores smiled, thinking to herself, surely she wants to flatter. The one who is about to become the mistress of the Kalinos family must be very shocked to know it's her, right? Then she greeted. Are you well? I can't visit because I'm under house arrest. I heard today the Duke will meet you, so I've prepared many interesting stories for you. Mariposa Flores forced a smile, but her whole body trembled. What kind of stories? Giselle Flores smiled and held out a piece of paper in front of her, hesitating to speak. For example, the things that Sister Mariposa Flores has circulated about me in high society. Hearing this, she became panicked. Remembering her own recent words, Giselle Flores heard that the lady beside her quickly chimed in. Oh my God, how could this happen? Then Mariposa Flores was astonished, questioning her. Giselle Flores, why are you saying such things? Giselle Flores calmly tilted her head and replied. The one who raised me taught that honesty is a good virtue. So I just intended to say things anyone would know. Mariposa Flores, frightened, shouted loudly. No, that's... However, she ignored her interruption. With a smile, she continued. So let me start. First, I get scolded every day. Second, I always have to wear old, torn dresses. Third, I am treated even worse than the servants. Fourth, my family is a complete mess. And fifth, spread the news that I have no magical power, then scold me all day long. She was struck down by her magic, helplessly exclaiming, Ah, Giselle Flores patted herself on the back and mocked her. But actually, I do have magic, so there are many more stories to tell. But now I feel a bit lazy, Giselle Flores thought to herself. Why should I have to endure all this time with someone so unremarkable? Then she asked again. I heard you wanted to collaborate with Kalinos, right? Mariposa Flores, seeing her approach, hurriedly backed away. Hesitating, Giselle Flores didn't let it go and continued to advance. Fortunately, I have a very good plan here. Please transfer your cafe to me. I need a dowry for marriage, and this cafe is just perfect for that. If you want to review the legal issues, feel free to check. 4 days later. If you want to review the legal issues, feel free to check in 4 days. Inside the palace, unbelievable whispers echoed about taking over another noble's business. How? Even high-ranking nobles can't do that. Even the family court would lose. As long as the secretary is in the contract, you can rest assured. Hearing these words from lawyer Mariposa Flores, she was satisfied and laughed, knowing it all too well. Even high-ranking nobles must have limits. She smiled smugly. Giselle Flores. That wicked girl must have used some trick I don't know about. But she thinks she can steal my coffee shop with how much money she's bribed those high-ranking nobles. To keep this shop, suddenly a maid rushed in from outside, panicking and shouting, Mariposa Flores. There's big trouble. She frowned in annoyance and turned to ask, What's going on now? She hurriedly explained that in front of the coffee shop, the scene had shifted to in front of the coffee shop with murmurs starting to rise. I can't believe it. Who would put up walls like that in front of the shop? What a party. If Mariposa Flores knew, it would be a big deal. There wouldn't be any business left today. What are you doing, uncle? Mariposa Flores hired you to work at the shop. You should repay her kindness. What about your training leg? Anyone who sees this would lose interest. The revenue is plummeting. Really. If the coffee shop collapses, we all lose our jobs. Suddenly, a young man bent down to pick something up. He exclaimed, "What is this piece of paper?" "Dad, work hard, okay? Love you, Dad." Lilip quickly realized it was her daughter who wrote that. He laughed mockingly, saying that his daughter couldn't even write yet because of her leg disability. Looking at the house, it was obvious, facing those sarcastic remarks, he could only endure and lower his head, telling himself, "I must endure. I can't get angry over this little humiliation. After all, this is the only place that dares to hire a disabled person like me." Suddenly, from afar, Giselle Flores approached, clapping and laughing. "Oh my, why are there walls in front of the coffee shop? Who would do something so unethical?" As she spoke, she secretly laughed inside. "And who else is here?" "It's me." The peak of underhandedness and unprofessionalism, the maid, upon hearing her voice, panicked and shouted, "Giselle Flores, why are you here?" A construction worker from behind came up to ask, "Miss, shall we continue with the work?" Giselle Flores smiled at him and replied, "Yes, keep going." He noticed her calm demeanor. He immediately became angry and questioned, "Miss Giselle Flores, what are you doing? This is clearly an act of obstructing business. Before I report to Mariposa Flores, you should remove this wall right now." Giselle Flores darkly raised her head to look at him, evaluating. "Oh, now I remember the name. No one remembers this. It's Mariposa Flores's trusted aide, right?" His mocking words from the past flashed in her mind. "Giselle Flores, you don't look like a noble at all. Your clothes are ragged. Your attitude is timid. You have no air of nobility at all." Mariposa Flores beside her also covered her mouth and laughed. "Stop it, that sounds very rude." Then the maid purposely bumped into her. "Sorry, I didn't know anyone was here." With such a gloomy demeanor, it's hard to notice. "If you're a lady, you should dress up nicely," Giselle Flores uncomfortably recalled. Moreover, he had teased her before. "I must have looked pathetic to be treated like this." Back to reality, he was tense and yelled when he saw her lightly touch the rim of the glass. "What else are you planning to do?" Giselle Flores gently complained. "The strawberries in this parfait are so sour. What kind of ingredient management is this? Why are you still standing there? Go change it right away." He couldn't believe what she just said. Annoyed, he retorted, "Just because the strawberries are a bit sour, you smash the glass? So what? So what?" She casually replied. "Do you think nobility is a joke? You mean my taste is the problem, right?" The servant was scared, his body trembling. "How did this happen?" She coldly shouted, "Enough! I don't want to talk to you all. Call the owner here." Mariposa Flores, upon seeing her, was furious. "What the hell are you doing, Giselle Flores?" She proudly stood up to respond to her. "You're here? I was very eager to meet you." As soon as she finished speaking, she held up a note in front of her. Mariposa Flores panicked, her eyes widening as she stepped back. "What is this? What are you giving me?" Giselle Flores quickly condemned her. "I kept wondering where the money to open the cafe came from. Turns out it was embezzled from the Flores family. To open it, it's clearly stated in the financial report written by accountant Kima. It must have been handed over to the underlings. So I don't know anything?" Mariposa Flores couldn't believe it, questioning her back. "How does Kima know about this?" Giselle Flores angrily interrupted. "Does that matter now? You should be more careful. You will be sued in court for embezzlement. Before the family takes you to trial, sign the transfer of this cafe. This is your last chance, Madame Mariposa Flores." However, she stubbornly refused to listen. "Transfer the cafe? I don't know what you've been up to lately, but do you think I will be fooled by this cheap trick?" As soon as she raised her hand to slap her, Giselle Flores asserted once again, "Get a grip. Mariposa Flores, I just said this is your last chance. If you're sued for embezzlement, not only you, but your son Abison could also be expelled from the family. Don't you know that? It's better to hand over this cafe than to let things turn out like this, right?" Mariposa Flores paused and thought to herself, "But what she said is not wrong. If I'm proven guilty, Abison's position in the family will also be shaken. At that time, the chance of him becoming the head of the family will also decrease. It's just handing over the cafe, right? As long as my son becomes the head of the family, I can get it back after she signs the contract." As soon as she finished signing, she immediately retracted the contract. "Fine then, it's done," Giselle Flores excitedly sang while thinking to herself. "What if, unfortunately, I signed the contract? But there's a confidentiality clause, so she probably won't dare to tell her brother." Mariposa Flores clenched her fists, contemplating. "Now, I just need to go back and act like I'm still grounded." Suddenly, a voice rang out, leaving her stunned. Mariposa Flores. She panicked and turned to look. This voice. Could it be Count Florence? She tightened the paper in her hand and approached. We received an anonymous letter accusing you of embezzling the family's money, and it turns out to be true. Mariposa Flores saw his angry face and shouted, "Brother, what are you doing?" SEO, sitting across, smiled mockingly at her. "Oh my, an anonymous letter sounds so thrilling, doesn't it?" Mariposa Flores immediately turned back and yelled in the face of Sister SEO. "Don't tell me you didn't let her finish singing." He hurriedly interrupted, saying, "If you have something to say, then say it to me. Don't glare at the children to vent your anger. I remember I only lifted the house arrest for you to meet Kalinos on the designated day. Not only did you embezzle, but you also dared to leave home against my orders." Why is she stammering while looking at him? Brother, that was Countess Florence, again condemning her. Moreover, I have further investigations to conduct. All the rumors about Giselle Flores were spread by me. Before I left, I made it clear to take care of Giselle Flores as if she were your own child. But now I can't trust you anymore. Mariposa Flores tried to explain. Brother, please, just give me one more chance. However, he coldly interrupted, declaring his expulsion. Mariposa Flores panicked, crouched down, and screamed. Brother, if I'm expelled from the family after the divorce, I will be completely eliminated from high society. It's no different than sentencing me to death. Please forgive me. However, he coldly looked at her, judging. Shouldn't you feel grateful that this isn't the end? It shouldn't be a real death. His words left Mariposa Flores speechless, unable to utter a word. She clenched her fists and bowed her head in apology. I admit I was wrong. I will leave. But at least please let my son, Abasan, stay in this house. He's completely innocent. Please let him stay, okay? Giselle Flores crossed her arms beside her, contemplating. She thought if Abasan remained in the family, there would be a chance to return later. Is that the right decision? Back in the castle, Abasan panicked and shouted upon receiving the bad news. No way, Mom got expelled. Mariposa Flores tightly held VA and instructed the guy. It has come to this, but Mom will definitely return. So Abasan, you must hold your ground in this house. Upon hearing this, the guy gritted his teeth and clenched his fists, thinking to himself, this uncle is really crazy. He just kicked his own sister out of the house. It must be because of that girl next to him. If that stupid girl hadn't stepped into our family, my mother wouldn't have been harmed. And I would have been recognized as the heir long ago if it weren't for you. Just without you. At the moment, Abasan was about to smother her with a pillow. Giselle Flores opened her eyes wide awake. Her strength caused him to fall backward in shock, screaming. Giselle Flores leisurely stepped down from the bed and approached him. I knew it would be like this. Neither you nor your mother could ever outsmart me. From outside, a panicked knight rushed in, asking the young lady, Are you okay? Lord Abasan, I can't believe it. Just as the young lady said, he really dared to break in. Why is that, young lady? It's very dangerous. Please step back. Giselle Flores calmly tilted her head and replied, I'm fine. Please go invite the Count urgently for me. Hearing that, he hurriedly ran outside. Yes, I will go right away. Please wait a moment. Abasan collapsed on the ground, still unable to regain his composure. What on earth is happening? It's as if everyone was already waiting. Giselle Flores angrily intended to scold him. How can he still not understand? Knowing your hot temper and lack of intelligence, I had already asked Count Florence to send a knight for protection early on. At this moment, Abasan panicked, realizing the truth. What is this? Giselle Flores? Are you crazy? Lady Flores. She hurriedly flung the door open and entered. Giselle Flores, are you okay? But, Abasan hesitated, wanting to explain. Uncle, the thing is, but he wasn't very concerned and ran straight to her. You're not hurt, are you? Giselle Flores casually replied. No, I'm fine, Count. As long as Abasan is expelled from this family and punished for life, that's all. He stood up in a panic, questioning her. Could it be that this is all your plan? Uncle, it's all Giselle Flores' scheme. Please listen to me, Count Flores. The more he listened, the angrier he became, grinding his teeth and shouting. Shut up, Abasan. Is there anyone outside? Immediately catch the intruder and bring them out. That person is no longer a member of my family. He looked bewildered and called out, Uncle, you're being fooled. You can't treat your own niece like this. After being dragged outside, he approached to comfort her. Sorry, Gizio. Both my brother and others only bring you pain, she gently replied to him. It's okay, Count. I'm just worried that you'll be more shocked than me. After all, it's after Miss Mariposa Flores. Now it's Abasan causing trouble again. He wore a patient smile, reassuring the girl. You're even worried about this? Now no one dares to harm you anymore. If there's anything you want to do or need, just let me know. This only pleased her more. Giselle Flores quickly suggested. Then, Count, I have one thing I want to ask for a few days at Giselle Flores's cafe. The compliments resounded without end. Oh, this cafe uses such delicious beans. The aroma is truly wonderful. I heard that since the change of owner, the cafe has become much more luxurious. I even heard that Prince Seven is interested too. Really, Count Flores? Hearing these compliments, he was taken aback and began to wonder. Why does the girl want to take over this cafe so much? He turned to look at Giselle Flores and smiled, surprised that she manages the cafe so well. Very commendable, Giselle Flores. She cheerfully looked up at him and humbly replied, "It's all thanks to the premium spices. Count, you supported me with that. The rest is just simple work like hiring good staff." After Abison was expelled, Count Florence allowed me to take over the management of Mariposa Flores Cafe. The first thing I did was lay off most of the staff because those AIs indebted to Mariposa Flores would definitely betray me later. Just one person, a few days ago. When I saw Lily hugging her backpack, preparing to leave, she loudly called out, "Where are you going, sir? You need to prepare to open the shop, you know, Sir Lillip." Except for Lillip, it's difficult for others to move around. He is the only one who doesn't look down on customers, always polite to everyone. And most importantly, by principle, he won the emperor's favor and became the head chef of the palace. At first, he was skeptical when I suddenly invited him, but perhaps it was due to my attractive proposal and genuine heart. Eventually, he agreed and became the new head chef of the cafe. Returning to reality. Sitting beside a small table, Count Flores could not stop praising. "I never expected you to run such a well-organized business. You're all grown up now. You can look for a marriage partner." Giselle Flores hurriedly interjected, "Oh, no need for that, Count. I already have someone who wants to marry me." Count Flores, upon hearing this, spat out his drink and slammed the table. "What are you saying? That's the first I've heard of this." She smiled slightly and explained to him, "I didn't know what Miss Mariposa Flores would do, so I kept it hidden. But I have already accepted a proposal," Countess Flores exclaimed, still in shock. "Who is this person? Could it be Barto or Duke Lysanian?" Giselle Flores asked, bewildered. "Why do I have to get involved with those two losers?" He was even more confused. "What? Not those two? Then who the hell is it?" At that moment, the messenger entered from outside and asked, "Did you just mention me? I miss you a lot, my fiancée, Giselle Flores." "You coordinated with me too," she said, looking up and smiling. "You're here, my love." After greeting her, the messenger turned to Count Flores, smiling. "It's been a while since we last met, since that official meeting, right?" He couldn't help but doubt. "This name is Kalanos?" The messenger dealt him another crushing blow. "Your future father-in-law is also here." Count Flores felt uneasy. "Who allowed him to call me father-in-law?" "Even the future father-in-law is present." Countess Flores felt uncomfortable inside. Who allowed him to call himself father-in-law? Even though they are not the two names Bodo or Lysanian, but why is it Kalinos, the one known as the Black Mask? Even as a war hero I still don't like him. Could it be that last time he said, "We will meet again," is because of this? Why, now all the pieces fit together. He got angry last time because of Giselle Flores. Thinking that, he then spoke to the Duke. "When did you contact Giselle Flores?" he answered without hesitation. "Since the party held at the Count's estate. I fell in love at first sight and started keeping in touch." Count Flores tiredly rubbed his temples. It was time to announce the engagement with Baron Milpian. He frowned and reminded the Duke, "After all, Giselle Flores is still too young. No father would want his little daughter to go to such a dangerous northern region." The fairy took this opportunity to demand justice for her, but he knew that in the Flores family, there are quite a few people who envy my fiancée. She is bullied by them, worse off, he knows his family is at fault. So he hurriedly confirmed that it indeed happened in the past, but currently I have chased all of them away. "No one can harm Giselle Flores anymore," the fairy spoke up, interrupting. "That's great, but unfortunately, Giselle Flores is very eager for this marriage." She excitedly opened her eyes wide at him, affirming, "That's right, my Lord Count. I really want to marry the Duke." Count Florence frowned with worry, looking at her. "Marriage is not something to be taken lightly. I just managed to take better care of you." And Giselle Flores understood and quickly responded, "We are already engaged. Can't I still visit your house on weekends? I will come to see you every weekend." He was troubled, tightly frowning, exclaiming, "Oh dear. Then, Duke, even if you get married, please let my daughter come home to her mother's house once a week." The fairy responded without hesitation, "Sure, it's not difficult." Count Flores gently looked at her. "Giselle Flores, how much do you want to prepare for the wedding? Just say it, and I will take care of everything." Giselle Flores smiled back. "What wedding? You already provided for it." "Yes." He was very surprised, exclaiming, "What? Do you mean this cafe?" She crisply replied, "Yes." Suddenly, a girl came in from outside calling, "Madam, someone is looking for you." Giselle Flores turned back in confusion, asking the girl, "What is it? Who is it?" The employee carefully replied, "It's Lady Oleana from the Kalinos family." As soon as the fairy heard this, she immediately spoke up. "What? Why is mother here unexpectedly?" "I will go with you." However, Giselle Flores stopped her. "No, darling, it seems mother wants to talk privately. Let me go alone. You two can comfortably chat." Hearing this, Count Flores, who was sitting next to her, cleared his throat twice. There's nothing to say. As Giselle Flores stepped outside, she greeted the guest politely. If I had known you were coming, I would have prepared earlier. Were you tired on the way here? It's quite far from the Duke's estate. Juliana coldly replied. Not tired. Recently, I heard that you opened a business. Is this the place? Giselle Flores gently smiled and replied. Ah yes, it's this coffee shop and also the venue for this wedding. But Juliana looked at her with discomfort, judging her. No matter how I think, I cannot accept that a weak girl like that enters my family. Moreover, wearing such a poorly groomed apron shows no dignity at all. Thinking that the Countess spoke up to question her. Has the Flores family been informed about this marriage? Giselle Flores, without hesitation, smiled and replied, Oh now, we are just waiting for the wedding. Instead of stopping, please call me daughter-in-law mother. Juliana calmly lifted her cup, bowed her head. I am your mother. The matter of you entering our family and the matter of me accepting you as daughter-in-law are two different things. Let's get straight to the point. As you know, our family does not hold weddings. The people in the territory are always threatened by monsters. I, as the head of the family, cannot follow those romantic traditions, instead must swear before the direct line of the family. If possible, the previous duke, her husband's grandfather Gano, should participate, but he is currently in the eastern region. It's hard to have Giselle Flores listening and counting with her hand, which means Mother BA has stripped the Duke of Terran and there are only 4 of us left, right? She coldly denied that there wasn't a person she hadn't met, the former Kalinos. The person is still not dead, Neslan Kalinos. Even now, she could overcome everything with luck, but this time it won't be easy to convince him. Where Miss Giseo Juliana didn't hesitate to tell everything to Giselle Flores in a secret place in the Kalinos mansion in the capital. There is a place called the Family Tomb, where the previous heads of the family were wounded in wars with monsters. Uncle stayed there until he passed away. The previous duke had locked himself in there 5 years ago. And thanks to the barrier that only appears to those with a certain level of magical power in their bodies, he lived a completely isolated life from the outside world. Returning to reality, the carriage slowly began to roll. Giselle Flores sat inside, looking outside, thinking no wonder the principal didn't mention the Kalinos formula at all. In a previous life, if someone could live isolated in a place like this for 5 years, they must be a very gloomy and frightening person. But I must not be afraid. So far, I have dealt with Juliana in the cafe the other day. Countess Flores clearly stated her position regarding the Duke, that my participation in the oath ceremony does not mean I agree with this marriage. The Count replied without hesitation. I will remember that. Dear father-in-law. Countess Flores relaxed upon hearing this and smiled at him. It is truly an honor to meet a great person like you, a strong and great national hero that even the Count must acknowledge. Giselle Flores looked inside, confused, thinking who this person in front of her was. Neslan looked tired. He raised his head and asked, Is this girl your fiancée? Giselle Flores was a bit surprised. Neslan Kalinos, how could this frail and weak middle-aged man be? He looks so weak. Juliana coldly glanced at her. Countess gently helped Giselle Flores and spoke up. Father, let me introduce. This is Giselle Flores Florent. She hurriedly smiled at him. Hello. He continued, she is the daughter of Count Sahara, adopted into the Florent family, and is about to become Giselle Flores Kalinos. The Countess Flores coldly reminded from behind. Isn't that something to find out later? The wedding oath ceremony hasn't been held yet, but she felt comforted through his hand placed on her shoulder. Giselle Flores gradually became more at ease. She felt awkward if she had to cause a ruckus with the sick person, but luckily the Count stood up to help. Neslan understood and smiled, saying, I'm really sorry, my son seems a bit impatient. He didn't press further and politely bowed his head. No, thank you for inviting me. At this moment, he turned to Giselle Flores to inquire. But, Miss Giselle Flores Sahara, isn't she the famous great magician? Hearing Neslan mention her father, she happily smiled and replied, Yes, but he continued with what he was thinking. When I was young, I used to admire Count Sahara and was one of those who wanted to learn from his magical abilities. I never expected that during my illness while staying at the manor, his daughter would grow up to be so beautiful. Dear-in-law. Countess Florence, satisfied, cleared her throat. You have a good eye, don't you? Neslan laughed and joked excitedly. Of course, my son married the daughter of a great man. As my daughter-in-law, I am very happy. Thank you for raising her so well and bringing her into my family. I promise to treat your daughter with respect more than anyone else. Countess Florence did not hesitate to respond. If that's the case, at this moment, Giselle Flores felt confused about why the atmosphere was so warm. There was no other way, despite feeling a bit guilty since the other party was ill. But a contract is a contract. I have to play the role of a naive daughter under the guidance of a great father. After calculating, she hurriedly spoke up. Wow, really? Then I hope to receive your help in the future, dear father. While smiling artificially, she calculated in her heart that she would intentionally do everything to make the former duke hate her. such as acting overly familiar, pretending to be pitiful to create a heavy atmosphere, but all failed. Nestlin was very excited, laughing and saying, "Everyone, please feel free to enjoy the meal. Yes, my daughter-in-law must be hungry after the long trip. Eat up." Giselle Flores, feeling flustered, replied, "Yes, thank you, sir." She was very confused inside. It's really strange. Why does everyone love me so much? Please at least dislike this casual dining etiquette. Please. And then she pretended to create awkward situations. Wow, this dish and that dish are all so delicious, but Nestlin only felt happiness, smiling. The girl looked so cute eating. Do you find it just right? That dish is veal. Giselle Flores helplessly bowed her head, feeling like some fabric hanging out in the Sunday. As if she was being purified, suddenly the young man spoke up to her rescue. "Dear father, what do you think of Giselle Flores?" He answered without hesitation, "Wonderful, very pleasing." Hearing that, the young man immediately smiled. He reached into his coat and pulled out something, starting to speak. "I knew that father would like her, so I will tell the real reason we came here. Miss Giselle Flores and I want to perform the wedding vow ceremony today." Yes, Nestland was a bit surprised and asked back, "Really? You want to perform the vow ceremony right now?" He responded without hesitation, "Yes, and the wedding will be held when grandfather returns." He looked at him in confusion, wondering, "Isn't that a bit hasty? Today is just for the families to meet. After that, it has to go through procedures." Not waiting for Nestlin to finish speaking, the young man interrupted to explain. "If it's procedures, we have already reported to His Majesty. He has blessed us and promised to keep it a secret. And he even sent administrative officials to preside over it. The marriage registration ceremony is to be held in secret." But Nestlin gradually became uncomfortable, frowning. "Why do you have to go to such lengths?" The young man, hearing him say that, remained silent and did not rush to reply. A moment later, he turned to look at Giselle Flores and spoke slowly. "Because we want to get married as soon as possible, and you seem to understand that, smiling as you perform, so you tell me to help here." Thinking that, Giselle Flores quickly leaned her head on his hand, smiling confidently as he turned to embrace her into his arms, affirming with Nestlin, "So please allow us to perform the wedding vow ceremony." Giselle Flores gently sulked, "Truly, my darling, I understand the feeling of not wanting to be apart from you at all." The two of them continuously coordinated with each other, despite Juliana being extremely annoyed, not even pretending to be calm. "I don't know, Nestlin, it's awkward." Holding my head. "If it's that sincere, then let's proceed." Just waiting for that, the messenger quickly stepped up to hand over the paper to the gentleman. "Yes, we will use the vow that the father once used." Hearing that, Nestlin became confused. "Wait, what? Why is that here? No, don't pay attention to that." He quickly swore the first vow to absolutely obey his wife, the second vow to absolutely listen, according to his wife's orders and living on the allowance provided. The third vow that even if he dies, he will come back to life if his wife commands. The fourth and fifth vows. Count Flores, sitting outside, also felt sympathy. This isn't a slave oath, right? Indeed, what a terrible family. With Giselle, there's nothing disadvantageous. He gradually felt relieved and smiled. Madame Tuque Flores approached the two and advised the messenger. "I see Giselle Flores as my own daughter, so you must treat her well." He sincerely turned to respond. "I will remember that, dear father-in-law." He continued to remind. In Juliana's discomfort, Giselle Flores repeated, "If you find it too hard, then you can come back any time." She obediently replied, "Yes, I know, dear Countess." The lady's gloomy face left. Terence, seeing that, also stood up and called out, "Mom, over here." Giselle Flores gently smiled, reaching out her hand towards the messenger. "So from now on, I am the Duchess of Colinos, right? Isn't that right, husband?" He gently lifted her hand and placed a kiss on it, confirming, "Yes, my lady." At this moment, Giselle Flores began to feel happy, even though it was just a marriage of convenience without love. But a wedding is still a wedding. My heart is a bit fluttery now, but what exactly is this situation after nightfall? The messenger propped his head up, lying sideways, looking at her on the same bed moments before the evening. The two were inside the room. Nestlin listened as he reminded the new bride that luck in marriage would need an old item, a new item, a borrowed item, and a green item. Those are the 4 things that must be brought. The old item will be given by the husband. So we want to gift the new daughter-in-law a new item. It's a teddy bear I made by hand. I hope to give it to my daughter if I have one. What do you think? Do you like it?" Giselle Flores stared blankly at him, fondling the teddy bear in her arms. Surely he is very lonely. To the point of making a teddy bear himself, but suddenly, Nestlin continued to speak, leaving her astonished. "By the way, those decorations attached to this dress are spiritual items, dear. I have always been very concerned about spiritual and mysterious things, so they must have many strange functions. Just take them with you." She hurriedly reached out with both hands to receive the gift from him, thanking him so much, while Giselle Flores was secretly admiring him in her heart. The father-in-law is so nice, really top-notch. Neslin asked again, can I come to the villa tomorrow? It's okay if you can't come, but if you're not busy, I would really like to see you. Seeing his sorrowful expression, she couldn't help but feel sympathy. What's going on? Why does it make people feel so pitiful? It reminds me of the time I used to work part-time in my past life. How can I just leave it behind? Yes. Thinking that way, she immediately responded, yes, I will come tomorrow. As soon as she finished speaking, he was extremely happy and exclaimed, really? Virentin also gently smiled and responded, if you want me to, I will come. Neslin couldn't help but laugh upon hearing that. So you're someone who cares about other people's expressions? In fact, I was half believing and half skeptical, not knowing if you were forcing Miss Giselle Flores. But looking at your expression, this must be true love of the century, right? Sio began to feel uneasy. Oh, I need to sneak away before I'm found out. That's why she spoke up. Father, you need to rest now, so we will take our leave. Virentin also joined her in speaking up. It's late. I will lift the barrier at the villa and go back. Anyway, today is also the wedding night. Sio suddenly jolted. That's right. I've been thinking about money and forgot that from now on, I have to sleep in the same bed with this man. And now, having only worked my entire life without ever having a love life, yet now sleeping in the same bed with a strange man I've never kissed before. This morning, I even took a recovery potion from Hennessy, so my magic power has recovered over 20%, making me extremely sensitive right now. Giselle Flores glanced over at Virentin lying beside her, his firm chest peeking out from under his white shirt. She began to feel flustered at her husband's sleeping posture. It's so seductive that I'm about to lose sleep. At this level, seriously, he's trying to seduce me, right? Suddenly, Virentin started to unbutton his shirt, causing her to panic and sit up. Wait, why are you taking off your clothes? We are a fake couple, so there's no need to follow the rules of a real couple, right? Her fierce resistance left him bewildered. Ah, Giselle Flores helplessly realized. Oh, I just now understood. He calmly replied, let's just sleep. She quickly agreed, yes. However, as soon as the two of them settled down next to each other, Giselle Flores began to think endlessly. So it really is just sleeping. She kept glancing over to keep an eye on him, watching his peaceful sleeping form. She couldn't help but exclaim, but he's really handsome. Now I finally understand what the feeling of being a sculpted statue is like. For the first time, I felt the warmth of a person when lying next to him. It turns out having someone beside you is quite warm and comforting. Maybe thanks to his body temperature, I feel so sleepy. After Giselle Flores gradually fell into sleep, Virentin finally opened his eyes wide. He silently felt that it was his first time sleeping next to someone else. But her steady breath following the 4-on-4 rhythm was not at all uncomfortable. No book says that the sound of a sleeping person is pleasant at all. Meanwhile, he moved his hand closer to hers until their hands lightly touched. The informant suddenly became shy, turning red, wondering why this person was so special in everything. Then he exclaimed, if it were this kind of marriage, it wouldn't be worth much. Suddenly, the image of a long-haired woman appeared in his mind. The informant's face darkened, her lips slightly parted, unclear about her mood. His hand clenched tightly, filled with determination. Don't think foolish thoughts, informant Kalinos. Remember the words that the late sister-in-law once said. In a family where people die slowly like this, a happy family cannot be built, even if I play my role. In this contract marriage, everything remains the same. Nothing has changed. The informant pulled her hand back, increasing the distance from Giselle, except for one thing. Suddenly, she turned over and hugged his arm. Giselle Flores dazedly opened her eyes and exclaimed, so close. She mentally screamed as she turned over to hug the pillow. He also sat up, marveling at her quick reflexes. Giselle Flores sat up laughing. It's really like a puzzle. However, the informant didn't pay much attention and put on her coat. I'm going to work now. She became more flustered, tightly hugging the pillow. Be careful, he said. And finally, Giselle Flores was left alone in the room. She tiredly hugged her face, burying it down. From now on, every night for a year will be like this. Giselle Flores sighed. It's all because of that potion I drank yesterday. I feel more sensitive. So I must have unconsciously sought warmth. Next time I have to drink more carefully. But this stuffed bear still looks surprisingly amazing. In this world, magical tools are divided into two types. One is magical tools, specifically for wizards that require the use of magic power from the body. The other type is magical tools that can be activated without using magic power. Yet this stuffed bear has both types of magic. Suddenly, the stuffed bear spoke. I love you, I love you, I love you. Giselle Flores joyfully hugged it tightly, marveling. There's even an old-fashioned recording magic. Then she suddenly thought of something and paused. Wait, does this world also have recording magic? But Giselle Flores only thought briefly and didn't pay much attention. Anyway, this is truly a paradise for strange magical tools. Indeed, entering this famous magic house was the right choice. Now let's see what other magical tools my father-in-law has given me. What is this? A piece of paper that she took out. On it were 2 large lines of text saying, I'm sorry, a father who let his child die before him. What else is there to say? That story is now worthless. What right do I have to face the lady? The words on that paper made her suspicious. What was this letter? Giselle Flores's eyes widened in confusion, feeling like she had just read something she shouldn't have. Yet something strange caught her attention. Oh wait, there's that AI looking at me, right? Outside the hallway is a quiet sky, and Excel peeks out from inside to observe. Surely, that AI is watching me, or is it just an illusion? Then she turns back into the room, calmly sitting down to read a letter. I should pretend not to see and just put the letter back. After all, this is just a 1-year contract marriage. Why do I need to know such private matters? I mumble to myself, although I'm a bit curious about the writer, when suddenly AI Nestland appears from behind. Speaking up to clarify, the writer of that letter is me, daughter-in-law. What's this? I panic and turn back, thinking quietly. What's going on? When did he arrive? I respond, oh, so it's a letter from Tradar. I'll return it. I haven't read the content yet, she says gently, reassuring me. My new daughter-in-law is really thoughtful. Even though I've read it, I pretend not to know. The video is really confusing. I didn't intend to be thoughtful at all. It's just that if I hear all that tragic story, my heart will soften, and I've resolved to be the antagonist. Yes, right after that, I put on a fake smile, stand up, and return the letter to him. Oh dear, what family doesn't have its issues? I can pretend not to know, but Nestland coldly interrupts. No, since you've entered this house, you should start to know a little about this. This has been a long time ago when the land of the demons was invaded by demon energy. My eldest son and I went into battle to protect the people in the territory, but then we got trapped in a virtual cave. The images created by the demons led to many deaths, including my vice commander. My eldest son also died there while trying to save me, and then I became the sole survivor, shamefully in front of the lady. For the family, and for Duke Vintin Kalinos, you've unwittingly shouldered this family burden. I've lived in the barrier with guilt for 5 years now. Thank you, my daughter-in-law. I'm really happy to have you since that gentle son of mine passed away. This family hasn't had warmth for a long time, but since you, a cheerful daughter-in-law, came in, I'm overjoyed beyond words. I must be getting old, so I'm too emotional. Giselle Flores, flustered, tucks her hair behind her ear, thinking to herself, then I can't play the antagonist anymore. Right after that, she comforts him and hands him a handkerchief. Here, use this for a while. Nestland, without hesitation, reaches out to take it. Thank you, but don't get me wrong. There's no need to force a cheerful attitude. Yes, just live the way you want. She hurriedly replies. Yes, yes. At this moment, Seo silently laments. Oh no, I can't handle such small, weak, and wounded people like this. At the same time, above in the quiet hallway, warm sunlight shines through the window as a girl walks anxiously. Luckily, I haven't been discovered. Just like Catherine Ranos once said, being small like a filthy rat is also a blessing. Since I sell according to the records, this time I surely won't get hit on the head like every other time, right? I have to work really hard because Catherine Ranos has hidden my secret. The girl hurriedly runs forward. I have to report right after he leaves. Giselle Flores, tired, leaned her head against the door and sighed. She dully complained that it wasn't just a day or two anymore. Now, avoiding her father-in-law was difficult. She began to remember his joyful image when he called her. The daughter-in-law asked me to distort the original details, so the pressure of the principal was significantly reduced. Nestland kept following Giselle Flores, asking about her. Busy? At that moment, she was very much looking forward to being the first person to show interest in her. Giselle Flores helplessly rested her chin on her hand, and complained. It's really hard to be a villain like this. Or should I behave poorly in front of others to make them dislike me? However, she quickly dismissed that idea. But the servants here are all too kind-hearted. I couldn't bring myself to do that. The image of the smiling maids giving her advice appeared in her mind. Serving the lady is a family honor. We will absolutely be loyal to ensure that no words about the lady leak out. Why? Leaning against the corridor, she murmured. Is there anyone who can coldly say that they won't accept a daughter-in-law like this, and cut off all contact? That would be great. Suddenly, a sarcastic voice rang out from below. Are you planning to leave the family right now? This made her pay attention. The voice was from the garden below. Catherine Ronos was scolding her, criticizing her rude attitude. Cheap aesthetics. Your coarse voice makes everything about you unpleasant to me. The 2 maids across from her bowed their heads dejectedly. Giselle Flores quickly realized that it was the head of the maids. I heard that the maids of the Kalinos family are all low-ranking nobles who are treated terribly. Her voice rang out again like this. Ludencia is a maid, yet she wears pearl earrings? That's not right at all. Bring her to me. It was difficult for her to respond. Just like last time, she took Acella's earrings without returning them, which made her even angrier. What? You dare to defy me? The head maid Catherine Ronos Jonas, the aunt of the current Count Jonas in the original story. I first met her at the secret party of the Bardo months ago. Her sarcastic voice, the lord of hers, was once again firmly etched in her mind. Why wear a cheap dress while wearing such beautiful earrings? Isn't that stealing? The shame of the Florence family. At that time, Giselle Flores had her earrings stolen by Flores. Giselle Flores stood upstairs looking down, unable to help but sigh. Even though the core story had changed, the tendency to steal from others has not changed. It is truly wicked. But fortunately, I need a villain. To set an example, I met the right person. A villain must be punished by a villain. Right after that, she opened the window. Moreover, I can't let anyone who has bullied me live in peace. A hot cup of tea was poured directly onto Catherine Ronos's head. In pain, she screamed, "Ah, it's too hot." Giselle Flores feigned an innocent look. She said, "Oh my, I did it by accident." "It's no problem, right, Catherine Ronos?" She glared at her with fury as soon as she saw her, gritting her teeth and hissing, "Lady Giselle Flores, what are you doing?" Giselle Flores replied without hesitation, "I was going to pour tea, but I didn't know you were standing there." "Why are you standing there?" Catherine Ronos scowled, reminding her that this behavior seems inappropriate for etiquette. Giselle Flores teased once again. "Oh, so why did I leave the etiquette class midway and don't know?" "But do you really understand what etiquette is, Catherine Ronos?" Jonas replied without hesitation. "It's a set of rules that must be followed, of course." "So you would use that reason to blame me, is that right? Then why don't we debate etiquette and rules from start to finish, huh?" Ludenso whispered in surprise. "That girl is the little lady." The girl next to her quickly replied, "Probably." She lowered her voice, so Ursula felt a bit worried. "But anyone who argues with Catherine Ronos has always been kicked out, right? Is she going to be different?" Catherine Ronos is the one lady trusts the most. No one in this Kalino's house dares to touch her. She clenched her fists, hissing, "You wait there." Lady Catherine Ronos angrily turned and left under the gaze of the two maids. Ludencia looked on in confusion, sighing that the little lady seemed different from the others, yet acted like that toward Lady Catherine Ronos. She will definitely be kicked out soon. After a while, one of them returned with a haughty demeanor, shouting loudly, "Lady Giselle Flores, you have become the mistress of the Kalino's family, yet still behave disgracefully, tarnishing the family's name." Giselle Flores coldly replied, "As far as I can see, Catalin is no different either. Just earlier she was going to steal from a maid. The head maid, who should set an example, is coveting a maid's belongings. Don't you know that the servants in the family must also act worthy of the family's reputation?" She was confused, stepping back and shouted, "What? You are insulting me, which means you are also insulting my mistress, Lady Juliana. I will report this to Lady Juliana." Giselle Flores smiled defiantly without fear. "Yes, you go ahead. By the way, ask if it's proper for a maid to shout at a duchess." The sky gradually returned to night as Juliana sat at the dining table questioning Catherine Ronos. "I heard you argued with the Duchess Kalinos this afternoon, right?" She lowered her head, stammering about it. She gradually became more resolute, reproaching her, thinking the reason I still turned a blind eye is that you have a flaw. "Or what is it to speak ill of others?" Catherine Ronos, sweating profusely, replied. "It is to filter out the weak from entering the family, ma'am." She affirmed, "That's right. Her job ends there. Don't overstep your boundaries with your future mistress." After returning to her private room, she bit her nails, grinding her teeth, cursing Giselle Flores. "Because of that girl, I am hated by Lady Juliana." The carefully prepared plan almost fell apart. Catherine Ronos angrily told herself, "I must deal with her before it gets even more annoying." Ivanka, the girl just called, knelt down respectfully. "Yes." She ordered the girl to monitor Giselle Flores closely from now on and report her actions weekly. Ivanka bowed her head and accepted. "Yes, ma'am." While Catherine Ronos sat blankly on the bench in the garden. Indeed, something felt strange since the argument with Catherine Ronos. "I felt like I was being watched every day." Then she frowned and spoke up. "That AI must have been assigned to watch me," Giselle Flores assessed gloomily. "The way that gaze became sharp after the argument with Catherine Ronos makes it likely that she sent the observer. Or should I take this opportunity to confirm if it's true?" She sighed wearily. "But how should I catch her?" Suddenly, a fruit fell, startling the area. "A fruit tree?" Giselle Flores thought in confusion. "What's going on? Am I really in a tree?" Looking up where Ivanka was hiding, she called out loudly, "Hey you, can't you see me?" No response from the AI, but Giselle Flores reassured herself. "Are you really in a tree? But the one assigned to watch me is so careless, huh?" She called out again. "Hey, you're up in that tree. You're watching me, right? Come down. I won't get mad, hurry up." After she said that, a stretch of silence erupted. Giselle Flores began to lose her patience with her not coming down obediently, so she decided to use wind magic. Right after that, Ivanka slipped and fell from the tree. Wow, that shocked her. "What? I haven't even used wind magic yet. Ivanka looked utterly miserable, holding her head. Ouch. Giselle Flores was equally surprised. Oh, she's just a kid. Then, suddenly, her expression turned serious. Ivanka quickly bowed her head and shouted, I'm sorry. I just wanted to sit in the tree. I didn't do anything bad. Giselle Flores gently asked, Is your name Ivanka? The girl was so scared, she trembled, sobbing. Yes, as she saw Giselle Flores's hand reaching out towards her. The girl was extremely worried. What should she do now? She was sure she would get hit. Ivanka shivered and shouted, I'm sorry. But Giselle Flores's next action surprised her. She helped the girl up. Come on, stand up. The girl wondered, Aren't you going to scold me? Giselle Flores smiled and said, What? I'm not the type to bully little kids. Observing the girl, Giselle Flores thought to herself, How could I bully a child like this? Moreover, the child isn't even well. Next, Giselle Flores patted the girl's shoulder and said, Look, your clothes are all dirty. First, can we take a bath? This made the girl jump in surprise. What? A bath? Her eyes were filled with tears, as if they were about to fall, thinking to herself, She's going to hit me after taking me to bathe, right? No, that AI is actually nice to me. I'm definitely going to get beaten to death right now. A while later, in the bathroom, after Ivanka finished bathing, the sound of Giselle Flores's exclamation echoed. Wonderful. Now you're clean. You look even cuter. Ivanka still looked dazed, unable to believe this was real. She raised her arm to her nose and exclaimed about the smell of the sewers. It's gone. The girl looked at Giselle Flores with a puzzled expression, wondering why a noble would ever care for a maid. But this person really bathed me. She really won't hit me, right? Meanwhile, Giselle Flores looked at the outfit the girl was wearing and muttered, This is the smallest size I have, but it's still too big for you. Giselle Flores leaned down and asked Ivanka, This little one is the maid here, right? The girl replied, Yes, yes, Ivanka has been hired by the Duke as a maid. She asked, So if you're the maid, why are you following me? The girl hesitated and answered, It's because I signed a separate contract with Catherine Ronos. Giselle Flores asked back, Aha, so Catherine Ronos told you to do that. However, her next words surprised the girl. Is Catherine Ronos bullying you? Ivanka quickly explained. No, not at all. I do it because I want to. It really is my fault. She saw it that way and quickly patted the girl's head to reassure her. No, you didn't do anything wrong. Catherine Ronos is the trash here. Now go rest. I'll wash your clothes and return them. What is this? Ivanka, confused, quickly realized it was the secret letter given to Catherine Ronos. If discovered, Catherine Ronos would send me back to Ronos, and then I would be beaten to death again. Soon after, a tail gradually emerged from under the girl's dress, and 2 small ears sprouted on Ivanka's head. In an instant, the girl transformed into a tiny mouse. I don't want that. After witnessing that scene, Giselle Flores was astonished, eyes wide open. Oh, Ivanka, in the form of a tiny mouse, quickly jumped away. The girl squeezed through the small curtains to escape. Ivanka cried her eyes out, trembling. What should I do? I accidentally revealed the secret that Catherine Ronos kept hidden. Now I will be punished for being a dirty mouse. However, she gently approached to inquire. Ivanka, are you a hamster? The girl anxiously replied. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for hiding that I'm a dirty hamster. I'm sorry for being a good at hiding hamster. Giselle Flores calmly lifted the girl up. I don't understand what you're saying, but you're just so adorable. That made Ivanka very happy. She didn't hate a filthy creature like herself. Why? She curiously asked. Can't you turn back into a person at will? Ivanka hurriedly explained. If I escape from this panic state, then I can turn back into a person. Giselle Flores gradually became confused, not fully understanding. But that means you can still do it, right? The girl affirmed. Yes. Giselle Flores gently set the girl down on the chair and instructed. Then our little hamster should calm down and rest here. I'll go wash your clothes for a bit. Ivanka was astonished, thinking to herself. She didn't call me a dirty mouse, but rather a little hamster. Ivanka had never been scolded before, yet this time she was called a little hamster and even loved. Could this person be an angel? Giselle Flores held the letter, and Ivanka panicked because of that. Yes, the Barto will be here to see you right now. Please don't forget the promise for our prosperity. Ronos, she said irritably. Just as I thought. It's again something related to Catherine Ronos. Those idol families really conspired together. The #1 trash male lead, Barto. His business partner is Ronos. In the original story, I still wonder why the business information of Kalinos was leaked. It turns out the loophole is Catherine Ronos. A Giselle Flores tightens the paper in her hand if Kalinos' business collapses, and they stop producing recovery medicine. I won't be able to drink free mana medicine anymore. She remembers Ivanka's pitiful appearance, and it seems she even bullies the kids. This has really crossed the line. Her gaze gradually becomes resolute, no matter what happens next. I absolutely cannot forgive the one who bullies the weak. So now is the time to kick Catherine Ronos, the favored one, out, and fulfill my role as the contract destroyer with the Duke outside the palace. The voices of praise from the maids keep ringing out. Miss, you are indeed a good person, right? She gifted us this beautiful red pin. The maid next to her agrees, yes, and thanks us for caring about her. While we were just doing our duty, it's so touching. She even instructed not to tell AI about the gift she gave. Not a modest person at all. That person replied, that's right, from behind Ludensa. Giselle Flores suddenly appears and calls out, hey, you were the one Catherine Ronos snatched the earrings from, right? This matches you so well. You have to wear it, and soon enough, you'll have a chance to take revenge. She looked at the item she handed over hesitantly. I've never seen anything like this. Where did you get it, miss? Even better, she also advised on how to use it. I don't know if I can use it well, but if it's this, I could probably chase Catherine Ronos away as well. A series of maids bowed respectfully to her. Hello, Catherine Ronos. She smiled nonchalantly. Is work still going well? Then suddenly she saw something and stopped. Catherine Ronos aggressively questioned the maid. Where did you get that expensive pin? She awkwardly replied. Oh, that's a gift. Before she could finish, Catherine Ronos angrily interrupted. What do you mean it's a gift? AI hasn't even given me one. The maid helplessly said, sorry, but I can't say. Catherine Ronos immediately flew into a rage, pushing her. You're the head maid, and you dare say you can't tell me? You have to give that to me right now. She fearfully stepped back. It's a bit scratched, so it's not very pretty. Or should I give you something prettier next time? Catherine Ronos, of course, yelled loudly, you dare defy me. How rude. The maid screamed in despair. Ah, Catherine Ronos. Please. Ludessa angrily clenched her clothes. Clearly, this is wrong. If I could use this to fix everything. In the end, she managed to take the pin from the maid's hands. It's really beautiful. Do you know what will happen if you dare to speak up? She fearfully replied, yes. Catherine Ronos frowned, glancing over, questioning, where did you get such filthy things? Everyone get back to preparing dinner. Ludensa bowed. It seems a wave of magic has passed through her. After a moment, a lavish feast was set out. Giselle Flores happily smiled and praised, wow, tonight's dinner is so delicious. Nestle cheerfully looked at her and smiled. Luckily, my new daughter-in-law finds it delicious. Do you want to eat more of this? She replied without any politeness. Yes, thank you very much, father. I had to share the gemstone hairpins that Nestle gave me with the maids because they have worked hard for me. You don't mind, do you? He smiled with satisfaction. Of course, it's meant for the recipient to use as they wish. Well done. Receiving compliments from him made her blush with happiness. Thank you, father, for thinking that way. In her heart, she was telling herself, today is such a gentle day, yet here I am causing trouble in front of someone like this. It's truly tearing at my conscience. But a contract is a contract. She spoke up to question him. But, I'm sure I've never given anything to Catherine Ronos, yet she's wearing the brooch I gave to the maids. Then, how did she get it? Hearing that, she was startled. This is a gift from Miss Giselle Flores for the pre-party. I should have checked more carefully. If I let it be, who knows what trouble she could get into. What's going on, Giselle Flores? Angrily frowning at her. Could it be that you snatched it from the maids? Catherine Ronos tried to explain. What are you talking about? What do you mean by snatching? Juliana, sitting beside her, could no longer hold back and shot a sharp look at her. What's going on, Catherine Ronos? Rolling her eyes, is this a blame game? It's probably because the young lady was just made a lady. So she might be a little excited, right? It's not right to falsely accuse the head maid. So who gave this to me? The maids, fearfully, lied, saying it was us who personally gifted it to you, Catherine Ronos. It seems the young lady has misunderstood this matter. Catherine Ronos, feeling triumphant, turned to look at her mockingly. So the young lady understands, because, why? Suddenly, do you want to frame me? Is it because last night, I caught you being intimate with a male servant in the garden? So you want to create a scene to drive me away, right? Nesland, hearing this, became furious and slammed his hand on the table. He frowned, tense, questioning Catherine Ronos. Do you think we are a joke? How dare you say such things in front of the Duchess? I know Catherine Ronos felt a bit scared, but she stubbornly replied, but I have countless maids who will testify for me. I have served the Duchess for many years with all my heart. To this extent, it's because I can't endure it any longer from the very beginning. The real oddity is accusing me of stealing without any evidence. Giselle Flores crossed her arms, unfazed. I didn't say there was no evidence. She gradually became agitated. What do you mean? Giselle Flores turned to call out. Come here, Ludensa. Catherine Ronos, worried, loudly threatened Ludensa. Why are you here? She quickly started taking things off her, explaining the ribbon brooch that Ludensa was wearing on her chest. Giselle Flores reached out for everyone to see. She smiled, glancing at her mockingly. Catherine Ronos, don't you know what that is? Take a good look. I will expose all your wicked deeds for everyone to see. Thank you for watching today's video. Our story continues with many exciting developments ahead, so don't forget to like and subscribe to support us and not miss the latest episodes. Wishing you all relaxing and enjoyable moments. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.